3, 2, 1. Woo-sa is something that they spammed throughout Bad Boys 2. Hello, this is Adam from Your Movie Sucks. This is a podcast called Sardonicast. Hello, we're talking about Bad Boys. Hello, who else is here?
I thought you were going to do the bad boys.
Nah.
What you going to do?
But then we're going to get copyright claimed. They're coming after us.
Yeah, be careful.
We could have done it.
Well, you just did it, so.
Bad boys. I'm Ralph, the movie maker.
Yeah, and I'm Alex from IHE.
And we're the Bad Boys.
I gotta say, this just got real.
What you going to do?
Shit.
Yeah, shit just got real.
It is. Yeah. It's shit, and it's real. We just got it.
Talking about the bad trilogy.
Don't give it away.
This is the Boys trilogy. The Bad Boys.
The show on Amazon Prime.
Yeah. This is the movie version. There's so much more bad.
But they're bad.
Yeah, I prefer the bad trilogy. That's how it kind of sits in my mind.
The bad trilogy.
That's funny.
Bad Boys.
You might as well. Yeah, you could just call it the Bad trilogy. There's supposed to be a fourth one.
Well, like in production.
Oh shit! Really?
Yeah, it was. I guess remind me to bring this up when we start talking about the third one because it's kind of tied into the production story of that. But
yeah.
Okay.
The third one kind of has like a cliffhanger kind of thing.
Yeah, Marvel stinger.
So yeah. You both watched all of them.
Yes.
Great.
I've only seen the second one before.
I hadn't seen any of them.
I watched the first one and the third one. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'd only seen bits of the second one, but yeah, I enjoyed my 6.5 hours of bad.
Of just action, just crazy car chases and like dumb jokes. Yeah, that's like the whole thing.
There were points where I was regretting doing a marathon and I was like,
oh yeah, same. Yeah, I did the same thing.
Maybe I should have done this like one per day instead of all in a row.
Yeah, literally like 7 hours of just like dumb shit, just like action and just horrible jokes, horrible lame jokes and cliches. I guess we could start with the first one. We need to start at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Start at the beginning of the Bad Boys. So Bad Boys 1995, directed by Michael Bay.
Uh-huh.
So Michael Bay, this is our first Michael Bay film. I think we've talked about like in detail. I think, and it's about Will Smith and Martin Lawrence are cops.
Just a couple of boys.
Yeah, and like that's basically it. That's like I just sold the movie right there. It's like Will Smith, Martin Lawrence, and Michael Bay. Like that's like
two hip detectives.
And that's like so you know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
Will Smith is the cool one. Martin Lawrence is the dumb funny one. Like that's it. And Michael Bay is the action. He like makes it cool with his angles and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
What were you gonna say?
If you've seen anything that any of those three have done before, you know what you're getting. It does feel like exactly what you'd expect from those three. It's like, oh yeah, it's still a Michael Bay movie, it's still a Will Smith movie, and it's still a Martin Lawrence movie. You know?
Like I don't even see the characters. I just see like Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. Like and the weird thing is like they both have like M names. I don't know if there's like a rule in screenwriting. You don't give characters like the same like first letter in their names, and they're both named like Marcus and Mike.
Oh yeah, Mike and Marcus. Yeah, that is confusing.
I guess they're like
Eminem.
Yeah, I guess they're both like the same. It's like Heat. They're trying to like draw parallels between them.
And Michael Bay.
Right.
The Trips.
Yeah. And Joey Pants is like the
Joey
captain.
Pants.
Yeah, I think he's a big part of it too.
With hair.
He's like the cliche like police captain who's like, you damn incompetent motherfuckers.
You didn't follow protocol. There's bodies everywhere.
You ruined my day.
This is a slight annoyance for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like that's all he does. Yeah, and they're just like cliches. Yeah. I guess spoilers, as if it even matters for this.
What can you actually spoil, really?
Yeah, no.
There's nothing to really spoil. So a lot of this plot, well, it's like this cliche, like, I don't know, there's like a criminal trying to like chase this witness down and they're like trying to protect her or whatever. But for some reason, I don't even remember why, there's like this role switching subplot.
Because Will Smith was out of town. And she's like, I only want to speak to this person I've never met. I will not cooperate if I don't talk to Will Smith.
Yeah, so she thinks it's Will Smith, but it's actually Martin Lawrence. And that's like the whole movie, is like Martin Lawrence pretending to be Will Smith.
Yeah.
Which I guess she heard about before. And, so she thinks like Will Smith or whatever is cool. They're like the Marcus character.
Yeah.
Just the best cop.
But it's actually like Martin Lawrence bumbling around.
Why do they need to commit to that so hard? Because that is like the main kind of drama.
I wasn't expecting it.
Or at least one of the main sources of comedy.
It should have been like one joke.
Yeah, like a couple of scenes or whatever, and then just go back to revealing the truth and move on. But that really is like the core of the movie is like that joke on repeat, and it just like is stretched.
Yeah, it's the same joke.
Yeah.
Throughout the entire movie. It gets like really annoying, actually.
Yeah, I found it exhausting after a while.
Yeah, really.
I really wasn't expecting it to be like a weird Trading Places movie. Like putting in Bad Boys for the first time. I was like, what the fuck? What are they doing here? It was so weird. It was so bizarre. Michael Bay's sense of humor is just like not great. What he finds funny is not that funny.
Sure, but it's just like that it went on for the whole movie. It felt like one of those things that you would throw in like a sequel. It's like a sequel plot when you're like out of ideas, but this is the first movie and they were already out of ideas. They're just like, I don't know, make it about like this role switching thing. Like Martin Lawrence has a wife, but he has to like keep it a secret that he's like, being protecting this woman, even though he could just tell his wife. Like there's nothing that's stopping him from telling his wife from like, oh, I just need to like pretend to be this person because she's a witness to a crime. But he never tells her that because he wants to keep it a secret because I guess his wife would get jealous. It's just like, what is going on?
And then they accidentally have a phone call and he listens to the exact spot that makes him believe that Will Smith's fucking his wife. And he goes like just one of the all you needed was like, I don't know, like a bit more information or just another word, and that this wouldn't have happened, this miscommunication. But you've decided to go over there, yeah.
Yeah, it's a big miscommunication.
It's very silly. I can understand why it was successful, for sure.
No, you're so right about the comedy.
Yeah.
It's a 90s comedy.
Yeah, definitely. But it's just an ongoing Michael Bay thing where his style of comedy, like, I don't know about you guys, it has never gelled with me.
No.
It's like, it is fratty. Like, once I heard it described as like that, as fratty, I was just like, yeah, that's kind of a good way of putting it. It's kind of like lowbrow, really obvious. Like the whole dynamic is like Will Smith, he's like a player, and he's also like a trust fund kid who's like rich and drives sports cars around, contrasted with Martin Lawrence, who's like, he's miserable, married, and has kids and never fucks. So he's like sad all the time. And that's like the core of the humor, and Martin Lawrence kind of doing his thing. But yeah, that Michael Bay comedy, man, I just can't. I can't be getting on with it. Like it doesn't like develop anywhere or go anywhere. It's always like so like throwaway. There's no like, it doesn't build up to anything. Everything's so confined to like a scene. Like there's a better example I'll bring up in Bad Boys 2. That's just like, Jesus Christ. But yeah,
these are not films that get better on a second watch. As someone who's only seen it once, but I was doing like a little watch along stream with it, and everybody was basically saying like, yeah, this is worse than I remember.
Yeah, that first one, it's like there's just not a lot going on. Like I'd see it, this is the first time I watched it. I was expecting like a little more, at least from like the action, but there really isn't much action in it, or it's like kind of
it's really tame for an R-rated movie.
It's really tame for a Michael Bay film.
Exactly, yeah. Especially for a Michael Bay film. Like, just knowing like where his catalog goes, like a few decades later, this does seem really reserved for him. It's just like really funny. There's not really an explosion even until like right towards the end.
Using the word reserved to describe a Michael Bay film is just so funny.
Yeah. There's still like the hot chicks running around and like, it's like all those elements of the movie. There's still action, and, like shootouts. Yeah, it is just like, it is way more tame. It's more like a conventional, like 90s action movie, I guess. It's
not like super distinguished as its own thing that much. Like it feels like early Michael Bay when you have like the chase scenes and stuff and like the car scenes. But much of the movie is just like, okay, not super stylized. The framing's way too close. Even during a lot of the action, the framing's like way too close, like uncomfortably close. Like it's like a fucking Safdie Brothers movie, but it's not trying to be. You know, it's like give me a fucking wide shot so I can see like where the shit is. You know, I don't remember if it was in the first movie or the second movie, but there was a part where like one of the, you know, just in one of the chase scenes, there's somebody with a bike and the car comes along and they have to run across the bridge because the car's about to hit them, just some random nameless character. And I'm like, if you just showed a bit more, I would know, like, okay, what's under the bridge? Like, is it water or vehicles? Because if it's water, then it's like, okay, well, maybe you should jump over. But, you know, I don't know. I feel like I was missing information in a lot of the scenes of just like things I could absorb about, like, I don't know, the setting. There were a lot of cuts, like 1 billion cuts per second in every scene, just like people talking. It was so weird. The editing's atrocious.
Even the action, yeah, and like the comedy too. It's just not as not memorable to me, really, aside from like the same joke.
Yeah.
You know, Martin Lawrence and Will Smith are trading places and that whole like cliche story.
I understand why it was successful, and they do have some level of charisma with each other. And obviously, like, people fucking loved Will Smith at the time, especially.
Yeah, I suppose this was the height.
I think this was his first like big blockbuster movie. This is like kind of what put him on the map as a movie star, actually. You know, he was famous from like Fresh Prince and like I think a few other. I think he had some other film roles, but I think this was like his first one of his first big hits that like put him on the map. So like that's a notable thing about it. I'm like, oh yeah, that's interesting. I guess like he's definitely a movie star.
Yeah.
It's just like it's just like everything else around the movies, like. You know, it doesn't feel like very well thought out, and like even the comedy, like it's kind of in the middle. I don't think it's nearly as obnoxious as like some of the later Transformers movies. I think that's like a huge positive I have about it. Actually, is that it's not as like grating as like the Transformers 2 humor, like the parents and like I don't know the pot brownies.
But they kind of did that like, in the second movie. I was thinking about T2.
Oh, yeah. But even that wasn't as bad.
Yeah, by then. But that was nearly 10 years later. There's like years between every one of these movies.
Which is weird.
Yeah, 8 years.
A considerable amount of years, yeah. Yeah, the comedy is like a huge sticking point for me because it's just like... It's like the main they'll undercut like basically any chance at like real drama or tension normally for like a joke. But like the jokes are always like really lame.
Yeah, I didn't hate the comedy so much, but it wasn't like it wasn't so irritating, but it wasn't funny at the same time. I was just like, yeah, I can see this being funny. I imagined a crowd of like people in 1995 laughing to it. I'm like, yeah, this is about right.
Yeah, it wasn't as bad as like the later Transformers.
Yeah, no, I was honestly fine with this first one. I thought it was like just so serviceable. I didn't really get annoyed. I was just kind of bored, like for the most part. Like it's just fine. There's nothing too crazy.
I started getting bored about halfway through it.
Yeah,
I was like perfectly comfortable with the pacing and, you know, the amount of there's dialogue scenes, but it felt like it was moving along in some way. Like, okay, things are happening at least, and it never stayed in one location for too long. And then about halfway through the movie, I'm like, what's your fucking point? Like, why are you 2 hours? Like, just halfway through the movie, it started to lose me, and I was like, oh god, like we're still going. Like, what are you doing? It was just, yeah, it started to get frustrating, but. First half, I was fine. I did have a few genuine laughs, but they weren't at jokes being made in the film. They were at like Will Smith trying to be serious at points, like some serious character moments with him, and just like, oh boy. And I can only see him as an actor.
Yeah, true.
And in this movie in particular, like I don't know if you guys felt the same way about this, but in this movie in particular, out of all movies that he's done, maybe, but especially in the Bad Boys movies. His accent's so inconsistent. Like from shot to shot, he'll sound completely different. He'll be going for like a completely different thing, and it was just like the most inconsistent thing in the world. In Bad Boys 2, it's like, okay, now you're just Will Smith. You're the Will Smith we know and love, sort of thing. you've got your character down as Will Smith. But in the first movie, it was just like, it's like he couldn't decide what he was trying to do, like whether he was playing a character with an accent or doing himself, or I don't know what he was doing, but it was a very inconsistent.
That's funny. I didn't even notice because all I see whenever I watch Will Smith in a movie is just Will Smith. I can't not. And especially because I think this is the first time I've watched a movie with Will Smith in since that Oscar incident.
I know, right? Some good context.
I just can't get it out of my mind. It's like just...
Yeah. Well, what's the... Was it Shark Tale? That Will Smith.
Yeah. Oh yeah, true. And that it tarnished that great work as well.
Was that post slap?
Yeah, that was post slap. That was like right after.
Yeah, it was post slap.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but we didn't see him. We saw a fish that looked like him. Weirdly.
That's true. This is his first live action film since that. Yeah, I don't even care about that. It's like, it's just his acting, and I'm like, he's like Will Smith, and that's how Martin Lawrence is. He's Martin Lawrence. He's acting silly,
big mama.
And it's like, okay.
At least with Martin Lawrence, I feel like he knows what he is a bit more, and he was trying a lot harder too, and he's good at it. He's good at the comedy thing. He's great at the facial expressions. He's great at like the line delivery, and he's consistent the entire movie. It's like, okay, we're getting like a consistent product, whereas like Will was just kind of all over the place. And it's like, what the fuck are you doing? But Martin Lawrence, it's like, he knows his thing. He's got it down. He's crafted it, and he's gonna roll with it. He's not like the most versatile, amazing actor. He's not trying to go for anything like super dramatic, but it works for what it is, and he's good comedy in the film. I think Martin Lawrence was good in this, actually.
Yeah, I like Martin Lawrence in all three of them. I feel like he's like, at times he's like the only one trying, like especially later on. I don't hate this movie. It's just kind of in the middle for me. It's not like one of Michael Bay's worst. I don't think the comedy is like that terrible to where it's like Transformers 2 or one of those. Yeah. It's like, it's just kind of like, forgettable. I see why it was successful, like you said.
It's the 90s.
I was expecting more crazy, like, Michael Bay shit, like action and whatever. I guess you get that more in, like, the second one.
It was still there. There were chase scenes.
It's just way more tame than I was expecting.
It's not as wacky.
Yeah.
It was more of a, like, normal, sellable, standard action thing, but he does film action like he knows what to do to make it seem like there's action happening, which is a necessity, and we'll discuss later.
Sure. Yeah, those are some of the best parts of his movies. It's the action.
And it definitely isn't like as mean-spirited as a lot of his movies especially kind of became during that like Pain and Gain Transformers sort of era. There is nothing like that is gonna like upset in the kind of way that some of those later movies do.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You're right. It's just right down the middle. It's so just like inoffensive, like very just, this is like a generic action movie from 95. This is exactly what it says on the tin. There's like nothing to unpack really.
On the tin.
Although this first one, I did write down in my notes the cringe kind of like the character that was like, freeze, mother bitches, I blow you. And it's like, okay, this is like 5 minutes of just the whole joke is this guy can't speak English properly, and that's it. Like that's
that was like a little taste of what was to come.
It's 1995, whatever. Like this is what people were into, but it doesn't age well. It's not like it's not funny.
That's like a little taste, right?
It's kind of cringe.
All of it's just like a little taste of like what's to come with like Michael Bay. Like but like these movies are just so dumb to me. I just can't even take them seriously at all.
Oh yeah, me neither.
Like I'm glad they didn't like develop the characters any more than they did in the movie, because it's just like that all that stuff is like so pointless to me. Like I don't give a fuck about like these characters at all.
I mean, yeah. Who gives a shit?
I just want to watch action and, like the selling points of it, like the hot chicks and the action, the cars, like that shit. Like that's all the audience for this wants. It's like, as long as it's delivering on that, I don't really have a problem with it.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's fine. It's better than like half the Fast and Furious movies as well, probably, just because there's some consistency there.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it until it goes past 90 minutes. That's my thing. Like if it's going to be like that level, where it's like, characters don't matter. Most of it doesn't matter. It's just about the dumb jokes and the dumb comedy. You gotta trim it down just a little bit.
Reel it in.
It just, yeah, well, I'll get into it more when we talk into the sequels, but they just kind of get like more bloated as they go along. A lot of Michael Bay's actually films have they like some of these Transformers movies are like touched like 3 hours. I'm pretty sure. Like,
yeah.
You kind of mastered excess filmmaking at a certain point.
Yeah.
You hadn't quite touched it like fully yet, though, in the 90s.
Yeah. I think it's funny. A lot of Michael Bay films, a lot of blockbustery type mindless action movies, the character development, they're essentially described by like things that they own, you know, or like people around them. So like Martin Lawrence's character is like, I have a family. That's his character. He has a family. Will Smith's character is he has money. Those are their characters. It's like family and money. That's it. There's nothing about like their personality, really.
Well, yeah, they don't have a personality.
Yeah,
nothing changes about them at the end. Yeah, they're just consistent. Nothing changes about them.
They're like their morals, or
yeah.
It's just what do they possess? It's like really simple,
and they're bad
like
boys.
Flashcards you can show up at the screen, essentially, like
right.
The most simplistic shit.
I'm saying for me, that's like one of the best things about it. It's just like, yeah, I don't give a fuck about their characters. Like, yeah, just make them. Like, just don't even develop them at all. It's like, there's no point in a movie like this. There's just no point. It's so dumb already.
I get that. I think you could sprinkle in maybe, like, something. Like, it wouldn't take long to develop.
Yeah, well, then it would be a real movie.
No. I feel like there was the issues in the 90s with like writing female characters in particular is like pretty apparent with this movie, where her whole thing is like, I'm being unreasonable and I'm being annoying and I'm vegetarian. And like she was just there to be like an object of desire and also very annoying. Like it was just like so irritating.
She was very annoying and like unreasonable.
Yeah,
like completely unreasonable and like unlogical. Like,
so naggy.
But yeah, that's also just a consistent Michael Bay problem, though, isn't it? Like some of his female characters and the way they're shot and presented.
Yeah, they're so unlikable.
Yeah, they're unlikable, but you know, they're like attractive actresses or whatever. They're just like, yep, well, that's it. That's like all they need to be in the movie. It's like, okay, it's so dumb. It's hard to take anything going on seriously, and I'm glad like there's parts of the third one that take itself like really seriously that just don't work for me, and this is like not a problem I have with the first two. The Michael Bay ones, because it's just like, yeah, there's no point in like even trying to develop these characters. They're just like, it's all you see no matter what they do is Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, and it's just about like the action and like like these things that were just, you know, that are on the poster that you know it's going to be. It's like that's all it needed to be.
By the time you exit the theater, you forget everything that wasn't on the poster.
Yeah.
that's what you're left with.
Well, like, yeah, even in saying that, I'm trying to think, like, it is an action movie and it is a comedy, but like, what is the standout best action sequence in the first movie? And what's like the best joke?
I know, right?
None for me. Yeah, right. It's hard to remember.
Yeah, I genuinely can't think of one.
There was a car chase or something.
Yeah, because 2's definitely got the best action.
I'm certain there was a vehicle pursuit at some point.
Yeah, the scene in the club, I guess that was the best scene.
What happened?
Like the shootout there.
Oh.
They're like in the club for some reason, and then there's a shootout. I don't remember what happened or why they were there.
Club Hell?
Is that what it's called?
And they had and then they had the fucking van full of ether for some reason.
Oh yeah.
And they're like, if you shoot ether, it'll explode, even though that's not how that works.
Yeah. No, I swear, like the 6 hours of watching Bad Boys, like all the car chases are just like they've merged together in my head into just this one elongated scene where it's all just like the same thing. Yeah. It's like nothing distinguishes it.
I'm so glad I take notes, you know? I would be so confused. I would have nothing to say.
Yeah.
Like, what happened?
There weren't many notes I took for the first one, except for the whole like body swapping thing, because that's just like, or the role swapping.
Yeah, that was my main thing too.
It's just like, that's the whole movie. It could have been one joke, but it gets really tired. It gets really old very quickly, and that's the whole film. It's the whole like 2 hours. Is like Martin Lawrence is trying to act suave, but he can't do it.
Haha, she thinks he's gay.
I remember the best joke. It's like when she's like at the apartment, she's like, "Why do you have all these pictures of Will Smith?" Because it's his apartment. And Martin Lawrence is like, "Oh well, we're just partners. Like we're just great partners." At his apartment, he has pictures of me. I'm like, okay, that's kind of funny. But like that was it. That was like the only joke. I'm like, oh, that's kind of funny. I didn't laugh. I was like, oh, that's kind of funny.
Roger Ebert pointed that out in his review. He said something to the effect of he was like, but why would Will Smith have so many pictures of himself in his home? It's like, I don't know, like I guess to like maybe paint him as like kind of egocentric, but yeah, I don't think that the writers care enough about that. I think it's just for the sake of the joke.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought that what was particularly memorable about that was the dialogue that came after that, which was like, oh no, I'm not gay. And he proceeds to explain to her how not gay he is. He's like, you see those dents on the bed? It's because I'm having sex all the time. I'm like, what? Gay people don't have sex? Like, what the fuck? Who wrote this? Like, it's so atrocious. Like, what are you talking about?
Well, yeah, that just ties in the whole frat humor. Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. It's like, I'm not gay, bro. Yeah, it's like that.
It's funny because he said gay. That's it. Like, that's as simple as it is.
Yeah, straight up.
Yeah,
that's kind of a recurring gag in the Bay ones.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Bay gay
Michael Gay.
Suspicious.
Gay Bay.
Yeah.
He's a gay Bay. One thing that I want to mention before moving on to the next one, I think one of the elements of these films that does change throughout each film particularly is the music, and I think that there were some good choices for like licensed music in this film, but the main theme that they tried to do was really bad. The main theme was just like so unworkable and so uncatchy, and just it felt dated, and it ruined a lot of scenes. There were a lot of scenes in this film that were lessened by the music choices, and just like, okay, why is there music here? Why is it this tone? Sort of thing. It was just weird. But yeah.
Yeah. I enjoyed Michael Imperioli's little cameo. I didn't expect to see him in it. I'm like, oh yeah, it's Christopher.
Yeah,
a couple of Sopranos actors in there.
Yeah, I think every movie has like a cameo at some point of like some other guy or whatever.
Yeah.
Does Michael Bay have a cameo in this one? Just trying to remember.
I don't think so. I remember him in the others.
I think, yeah. I only noticed him starting in the second one.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, I guess that's all. Like, I'm surprised we even had this much to say about the first one.
Yeah, same. There's basically nothing of note about this movie.
Yeah.
It's like just the most middle of the road, just nothing like action movie.
I'll start with the ratings. I think I'd give it a 5 out of 10. Yeah, like right in the middle.
I was about to say out of 5.
5 it's on 5 out of 5. I love
Eternal Sunshine.
Yeah, it's on that level. maybe rethink my life. Yeah, it's like a right in the middle of the road movie for me. Like 5 out of 10.
Yeah, I guess I'm slightly lower. I'd give it like a 2-star, 4 out of 10. It's just fine. I wasn't really upset by anything. I'd be more right down the middle with you if it was just a bit shorter, because I did just start getting bored after like the hour mark. Like it is just kind of a repetitive formula after a while, and like just not being able to distinguish like any of that action or comedy particularly. It's pretty one note for the most part, but yeah.
And I'm giving this one a 5 out of 10. It's very mid, very forgettable, not particularly notable in either direction. It is definitely a film, and it was released, and people watched it, and I get it. And that's about it. All right.
I like the two of them. I like Martin Lawrence and Will Smith.
Mm-hmm.
They're decent. So when is the next one? It's like
8 years later.
Yeah, like you said, it's so far after
2003.
Yeah. 2003. Holy shit. And it's about it's the same shit. I mean, I don't even know how to describe it any differently. It's Will Smith, Martin Lawrence, they're cops, and there's like a bad guy. I think there's even like less of a story here. They're like trying to take down some drug lord.
Yeah, there's a bunch of he's selling ecstasy.
Yeah, the Cuban guy.
But like, go to the story. Like, Martin Lawrence has a sister this time, and Will Smith and her had like a fling when he went to New York or something. So they have like a little relationship going on, and she's like an undercover like CI informant or whatever for like the police, and like so she's part of the drug gang, and like she's involved in it, and so like Martin Lawrence is trying to get her out of it because it's her sister, and like Will Smith's kind of in love with her, and there's obviously a lot of comedy with that, with like, oh, Will Smith, we gotta tell Martin Lawrence that like we hooked up once or whatever, and like Martin Lawrence is like, huh? It's like a lot of that kind of thing, and it's like Michael Bay. Like when he starts to get like really fucking nuts with like the action and like the framing of like women and like close-ups on the asses and all that, and like it's like the most Michael Bay movie to me. It's like his masterpiece. It's like it's like the most Michael Bay movie.
You could say that.
It's a Michael Bay masterpiece. It's like the best thing. It's probably the best thing he's done. Like, honestly, I can't even think.
Bad Boys 2 is to Michael Bay as Tenet is to Christopher Nolan. The most Nolan film he could make, the most Michael Bay film he could make.
It's the most Michael Bay movie. Like, it's just action scene, dumb jokes, just like constantly.
Yeah.
Like, it's like impossible to take anything going on seriously. And I don't know, that's why this is my favorite one. Easily out of the three, I think this is my favorite. I have like so much, like I actually think the action scenes of this movie are fun. Like some of them. I was really enjoying like that car chase scene in the beginning. Like that was like, to me, that was like insane. Like I really enjoyed watching that, especially on like my new TV, like which I set on like the 75-inch with like the sound blasting. I'm like, this is like fucking crazy. Like this scene, it's just like keeps going. It's so long. There's like cars crashing through boats, and there's like cuts every second, and like there's like some really great like shots in it, and like lots of energy to the camera work. I think what made me want to watch this movie at first was like, I think Hot Fuzz, because Hot Fuzz, this is like they like make fun of this movie.
That's funny, actually.
Yeah,
they reference it a lot.
Yeah, they like shit just got real. Like they show that clip, I think, in Hot Fuzz. Like that's what it's basically what Hot Fuzz is like parodying.
Yeah,
I feel, or like, and part of it's like they're making fun of it because it's like really stupid, but they're also like, in a way, like paying respect to it, because it's like, it is like one of those action movies I think of that's like, yeah, this is like, a Hollywood action movie. It's just like dumb shootouts and like, but there's like some like amount of the craft to it that I like really respect. I really enjoyed like the practical action. I enjoyed like that it was really bloody and there were squibs. I enjoyed like the shootout.
It felt more like an R-rated movie.
Yeah. I like that shootout
definitely.
in the house. Like that was cool when the camera's doing like the 360 around the characters and going through the bullet holes in the wall.
I was like, how many times are they gonna fucking spin? Like, how are you
that
still
was awesome,
going?
Though. Again, they went through the wall. Yeah, they kept doing it. But like, at least it's memorable. Like unlike that first one, it's like
it is very memorable.
Yeah.
No, excess is the word. Yeah, that scene you just described is probably the most memorable scene from any of these movies to me.
Yeah.
And I kind of wish it channeled that more so, if there was more of that.
Yeah. It felt like David Wan shit. Or sorry, James Wan.
Yeah. Because I did like some of the action, but it's just that excess after a while, like you're saying, that car chase towards the beginning. Like, how long does it actually go on for? Because like,
it goes on for so long.
Yeah, it's so fucking excessive. Yeah, and I can get down with that to a certain point.
I was kind of happy about that because I was like, this one's 2.5 hours long. I was like, well, there better be like some long action sequences then, It better not just be more dialogue.
Right. It's long, but the action is long. I felt like there was more action, like a lot more. Like not even just like a little more. I feel like this is like the most action out of any of the three of them.
You get what you pay
and like
for.
that's what I want to see anyway.
value.
Yeah, exactly. I just want to see like crazy action. Like I don't give a shit about these characters at all. I just want to see like crazy shots, and I feel like they really delivered like in like so many ways. And I just watched the behind the scenes of the movie too, because I was like genuinely interested in like how they did some of these things, and it looked like it was a lot of fun to like film those action scenes just from like the behind the scenes. Like I think Michael Bay like was given a lot of resources to make the second one because like the first one was such a hit. And it's kind of like the big budget spectacle I like to see, where there's just like a lot of really complicated, really dangerous stunts going on. A lot of practical stunt work that goes a long way. Like, I think that goes a long way in a movie like this. So it's just like a dumb action movie. Like that car chase apparently took like 4 days to film. That chase in the beginning, which honestly doesn't seem like a lot to me because it's like really complicated from how it looked. And, you know, they were using like many cameras.
The longest bridge of all time.
Yeah, that too.
Driving on it for 20 minutes, full speed.
No, I was just comparing the budgets. So, like, the first one had a $19 million budget, and the second one had a $130 million. So that is like,
yeah, and it looks
$100 million. Like,
what was the first one?
19 million.
Oh, wow, that's a huge difference.
Yeah, so that's yeah, considerable.
I didn't even know it was that low, the first one. That's pretty modest for, like, especially compared to this later stuff.
Explains a lot, actually.
Yeah. And, you know, they were using a lot of different cameras. Some of the cameras they were using, like, were cheaper and were meant to be, like, destroyed. So they knew, like, they could get, like, really cool angles and just destroy the camera. And, like, I'm like, okay, that's how they got that shot, because that looked really cool. Like, the Ferrari also in that chase scene I wanted to mention, like, that was completely CGI, which I'm like, really? I couldn't tell at all. That looked great, I thought. Like, that Ferrari in the chase scene is, like, mostly CG. And most of the cars in that scene and the boat, like, that was all CG. I'm like, that's really impressive, like, CGI work when you can't even tell that it's CG. Like, that's the best. Those are the best special effects to me.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, like the blowing up of the house at the end that cost like $250,000, like just for like a 5-second shot.
Of course,
like they
but at
spent
least
like
they did
so much money.
At least they fucking did it, you know?
Yeah, it looks fucking great.
Yeah.
It looks cool. When they were driving the cars through the shanty town, that was awesome. Like 11 cameras filming it, tons of explosives.
So
there's even like live extras running away to like really sell that it isn't just a set. You know, it's like you believe there are real people there, like in danger. Like that's really cool. That's like a great detail.
Yeah. Say what you will about like the substance of Michael Bay's films in terms of like artistic merit, but like, he knows how to make an action scene. He does, right? Like he's not always successful at it. He doesn't always make a great movie. He doesn't always make a great scene. But like there's a lot of basics that other directors just forget and leave out in terms of like filming an action scene. What Michael Bay does is he makes it, you know, he provides the illusion that the cars are actually going fast and that they're crashing through things, and that, you know, like what you see on the screen, you're like, oh, I'm seeing the thing on the screen, not like, it's not like, oh, that's not happening sort of thing. Like, it's like, wow, you're actually watching something.
Yeah, it has like a great, like speed to it. Like even during the behind the scenes, Michael Bay kept yelling like, go faster, like the people driving the cars, like, you need to go faster.
That's
like
funny.
that was great. Yeah, like seeing him direct and cursing at people and like
yeah, it kind of makes me think of Snyder a little bit, where it's like,
well, yeah,
there's something in there. Like they clearly know how to assemble some parts of this and make the core of like an action kind of spectacle work, but like, man, all the stuff around it, like this movie's got, it's like Whiplash to me, where it's like it's got the best stuff from this franchise, but also like the worst. Some of the scenes of this movie I can't fucking stand.
Yeah,
like
especially the comedy.
Yeah, the comedy especially. That whole sequence that like just does not end, where they go to that like the TV store, and it's like this like really long like gay joke basically, because Martin Lawrence is like shot in the ass at the beginning.
Yeah, that was terrible.
You need Jesus.
Yeah,
terrible. The ecstasy scene, like you were mentioning, that's honestly the funniest scene to me. Like that's probably the one I go to like, oh right, that was like not painful.
yeah, that bit was fine.
Yeah, I thought that was okay actually. The ecstasy joke.
I liked the first half of it. I think it went on for a bit too long. I liked where it started going.
I think Roger Ebert pointed out in his review the whole joke with like when the daughter has like the boyfriend character over and they fuck with him. He wasn't really a fan of that scene. I didn't think it was very funny. I'm not really a fan of it either. I didn't think that was very funny. That's another scene that goes on way too long. It's like, yeah, this could be cut.
Yeah, it's kind of lame, but I can imagine people in the theater laughing. You know, I get it. You know, I understand.
Yeah, me too.
What about like the whole corpse angle?
That was so weird.
It's like loads of jokes at the expense of corpses.
It reminded me of Geely.
They like run a corpse over and like it gets like its head like popped off.
Oh, that was awesome. Those parts were legitimately great. I loved that they did that. Nobody does that. That's cool.
At least it was memorable, right?
Yeah, it's outrageous.
Yeah, it's such a strange line because it's like if it was more consistently outrageous, I feel like I'd like it more. But it's just like
tiny moments.
I guess I'm just trying to figure out like what are you going for? Is this like more of a kind of tamer family action sort of thing, or are we going in
it's about family?
Yeah, because they do basically do that.
Yeah.
Fast and Furious thing, like they do try and do that, but at the same time they go into the morgue and lift up. Oh, and it's the dead woman with her huge breasts and like
that was weird.
Yeah, she's got big boobs.
That was really fucking weird. And it's not just like one throwaway gag; it like comes back like a few minutes later. It's
like you sexualized a dead body, Michael. Like what the fuck?
Yeah,
and rats.
Yeah,
what the fuck?
Well, he sexualizes every woman in this movie. Oh yeah, the rat fucking joke.
That was
weird. I
weird.
remember that. It's just like every woman in this movie though. It's like close-ups on asses and like every woman's in bikinis.
The camera went through all of their legs like every time it was in the club scene or whatever. There was like 20,000 shots of just like
you see like under their dress.
Like we're getting professional upskirt photographer Michael Bay. Like holy shit.
Basically.
No, there's literally on that same note. There's like Megan Fox is like briefly in this movie.
Oh yeah,
and she was like 15 years old.
Oh god,
she was in What? She was in that like dance scene. It's
She was in the dance scene as a 15-year-old.
Oh man, I don't even remember her. That's weird.
Michael Bay like was
Did
like,
he upskirt her?
No, he like made her go under like the water fountain or some shit. Yeah, I was
weird.
Searching up about it.
Weird.
Yeah, really.
I didn't know
weird.
that.
Yeah.
Well, there's Hollywood.
Strange.
It's just kind of creepy.
It's Michael Bay
creepy vibe. Some of his stuff,
Yeah. Don't do that. That's kind of weird.
At least there wasn't like a 10-minute Romeo and Juliet clause scene like Transformers 4.
Oh, I've forgotten about that.
Yeah, it's just like all of his movies have that shit, and it's like this is like the start of it. It's like right in the middle for me where it's like it's not too bad yet, but it's like the start of it. It was mainly the action where it was like really fucking Michael Bay and wild. It's like the action scenes. I'm like, okay, these are fun. Like these are fine. I wish there was more of that. But yeah, it's just like the dumb, like the sex, the kind of like borderline sexist stuff, and like the dead body, like with the boobs or whatever. Like I'm like, yeah, that didn't work for me, even when I saw it when I was younger. But what stuck with me as like a kid seeing this is like those action scenes, like those moments where you watch a movie as like a teenager and you want to like rewind to just watch like the cool parts. It's like, yeah, those action scenes are really fun. Like it's just like, yeah, this is the rest of this shit, like the jokes and like the humor. Again, Joey Pants is in the movie. He's doing the same shit he did in the first one. Like the scenes with him honestly blend together to me. Like I don't know what scene is from the first one, which scene is in the second one. He's just like in both of them, he's the same. Like he's doing the same shit. And yeah, like what was that you said in the opening, Adam? Like the wazoo,
Woosa,
whatever.
They just
kept,
like they did that forever.
It's like it's not funny when you do it fucking 28 times in the movie. It's like
it's everything's so excessive. Like everything is way past the point of comfort. Especially like with the humor. Like, oh, you just shot me in the ass. I didn't shoot you in the ass. You shot me in the ass. I shot you in the ass. Oh yeah, you just shot me in the ass.
It just keeps
My
going.
ass is what you shot. I shot you in the ass, and just like
that's what so much of the humor is like, though.
And gets him a donut. Yeah, and they're in the helicopter. He's like, I go to therapy.
It gets funnier every single fucking time you say it. Haha, you said you shot me in the ass. Haha, it's funnier every time. Like, shut up.
Yeah, like it would have been funny if it was just like one little gag in the movie, but they just like keep doing like the same jokes like over and over and over. It's like the same problem with that first one with the body switching thing, except here it's like even more dumb jokes that they repeat. This is like so many like just pointless fucking dumb jokes.
Yeah, the runtime, man, 2.5 hours. Like the first one was dragging for me.
Like a dumb action movie.
It's very long.
At least there's more action though.
Yeah, it is more like bombastic, but it is more like sleazy. It's just more of everything. Yeah. It is just basically a remake of that first movie, but with $100 million pumped in. Yeah, but more. It's just but more the movie. Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
I think that the music was better in this movie for the most part. Some of it was not great. Some of it, basically they had, I don't know if you noticed in the credits at the beginning, but they had P. Diddy as a music supervisor. And
oh, really?
A lot of the tracks had a lot more rhythm to it, which I felt like fit the film. Like it was like, oh, okay, like kind of, good, like old school 90s hip hop sort of, or I guess early 2000s hip hop kind of rhythm stuff. Some of it I wish had a bit more polish. It felt like something you could find on YouTube for free that other people are supposed to freestyle over. Like somebody just like dropped a beat and like, here, you can freestyle with it. Have at it. It's royalty free.
Yeah, they overuse like that same track, I think. There's like this track they keep reusing. I was just like, yeah, it's like too much in the movie.
Oh, are you talking about the one that has like the bit of guitar in it?
Maybe.
It's hard to remember. There's just like this one they keep reusing. I'm like, yeah, this felt like something P. Diddy like wrote. And they're just like, yeah, keep using it. It's great. Keep using it. Dun, dun, dun.
There's a track that they used a few times, at least twice. And it's actually an instrumental to a Dr. Dre song that I immediately recognized. And I can't say the name of the song. It's called Bitch N-Words with a Z at the end. And it was kind of funny just hearing that. I was like, oh, it's...
Yeah, maybe it was that.
Yeah. They played that one a couple times. Like, oh, interesting. It's Dr. Dre.
Yeah.
Yeah. They used it a few
Michael
times.
Bay had a cameo in the movie. I guess they steal his car. I'm like, oh yeah, that's fun. It's not really like...
Can you explain that other cameo? There was like a football player or something? Like,
oh, was that it?
I don't know.
Dan Marino or something. There's like a little moment dedicated to him. I had to Google his name because I didn't know who it was, but they seemed to make like a big deal about this man being in the movie for some reason.
Oh yeah, was that in like that car scene where like steal the car? Yeah, I think so.
And he's like, "Oh, let me know how it drives."
Yeah, that's who that was. Okay, so yeah, they were making a big deal about him. I remember that. And also Michael Shannon in the movie.
Oh yeah,
he's like a small part.
As a white supremacist.
Yeah, I was happy to see him.
Yeah, he's like some redneck guy, like the Ku Klux Klan meeting at the beginning.
Yeah, that was kind of a funny opening scene.
Can we talk about how fucking weird that is?
Yeah, that was weird. Like it's like a Ku Klux Klan meeting at the beginning. They're like, yeah, let's start the movie with this.
Exactly.
Like, there's a Klan meeting. And then two black guys break in and shoot them.
Well, here's the thing. It's like you've got this team of writers where this is a sequel, and the writers are tasked with like, okay, we've got this action movie. It's Michael Bay, but they're black. Where do we take these characters? Yeah. And their first fucking idea for like the intro is like, oh, let's have them do the Ku Klux Klan thing. It's like, because they're black, that's where they go. It's like, okay, like you're so creatively bankrupt. Like that's kind of weird, you know? Like Jesus.
But that's just Michael Bay all over.
It's the most obvious joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got I think that helped them with their excuse to be like a little violent too in the intro.
Sure. Yeah, it's like, yeah, fuck these people. You could shoot them or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, you can make that work, I think. It's just the way it's done in the film. Like, it doesn't really work entirely. There's like parts that are funny.
It's not Spike Lee's thing.
It's not even like Tarantino, where like the scene in Django, where they like take off the hoods and they're like, this one doesn't fit my head or whatever. Like, that was funny. Like, this is like, again, the joke is just that it's a Klan meeting or whatever. And then like, it's just like dumb action breaks out. Like, it could have been anything. It's like, it's just an action scene. It's just like a way to start the movie, you know? But yeah, there's so much action, just so much like shooting and like crazy shots in it. And,
Will Smith dual wielding.
Yeah, the dual wielding. It's like it's Max Payne.
And rolling on the ground and shooting both guns as he's rolling, like upside down.
Why was dual wielding like such a thing in the early 2000s? Just everyone was dual wielding.
It apparently looks cool.
Probably not accurate. Yeah.
You're gonna threaten someone with one gun? How about two guns? In case the first bullet doesn't hit the right spot in your brain or something. I don't know.
well, what he does in the movie, he dual wields and like points one gun like one direction, one gun the other direction.
Yeah,
like, he's gonna,
once.
It's like there's no way you could like hit all those targets. Like,
most of the time, he's got two guns at it one direction.
Yeah, but like even if you're holding it like that, there's like no way you can like hit your targets like at the same time. It's like you're way too inaccurate. It's just like there's no way you can even see what you're aiming at like at the same time. But it doesn't matter. It's just like a dumb like it's just so hard to take this movie seriously for me. It's just it's like almost impossible. Yeah, the runtime definitely drags it down. I probably would have liked it more if it was like shorter. Yeah.
And you could cut so much of it out.
Yeah, I probably could. Right.
One of the things that really stuck out to me about this movie was like the color grading. It's like, I don't know what the fuck they did, but they just decided like, oh yeah, this will be like a really vivid, really oversaturated movie. And it was such a weird thing because it stood out from the first film so much. I was like, holy shit, it was so like a weird music video. Like, again, excessive, like, is the only way to describe it.
Yeah.
Like, you pushed it a little too far, Michael. You got to tone it back a bit. A lot of
filters on the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very strange.
I just can't believe how different it is from, like, the first one.
It's crazy.
In terms of, like, so many parts of it. Like, when I watched the first one, I was expecting, like, this film. Like, maybe, like, a little more tame. But it was, like, so much more conventional than this movie was. To me, this movie's like crazy.
It's but more.
Like, I remembered things about it from the first time I saw it. Yeah. Like the dead bodies and like the crazy like chase scenes. And yeah. I do think it's impressive, like from like a technical level. Like I do like the stunt work. I think it's really cool, like how they were able to construct these scenes and like the CGI, and like it is impressive, like the action. I've never really had an issue with his action in his movies. That's like what I've said that consistently. It's just like everything else around it. It's just like the story and like the comedy. Like, and this is probably like one of his better movies, even in terms of that.
Sometimes it kind of infiltrates it, though.
Well, yeah, they cut to like the dumb one-liners during the action scenes, but
constantly.
It's just to, like, convey
it never ends. It's like the chase scene is happening.
Yeah, well, it doesn't. At least it's not taking itself seriously.
But it's so weird because it's like you get like 5 seconds of car chase, and then you cut back to Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, and they have like some weird commentary on it, like they're like, I don't know, they're a reaction channel or some shit, like whoa, blah, 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 blah. And then cut back to the chase scene, and then like back and forth, and it happens like fucking 14 times or some shit, and it's like, holy shit, it's crazy. Again, just weirdly excessive, but yeah, they're like interrupting the action scene just to have, just like, oh, remember, this is a comedy also. This one's trying so much harder to be a comedy, this film.
It's just trying to be like everything. It's like, to me, it's Michael Bay's like a victim of like the Hollywood formula. It's just like, I need to have hot chicks and comedy and these two stars in it. All right, well, I'll just throw it all in and turn it up to fucking
more.
15. Like, just more, yeah. It's just like, all right, I can't really blame him. Isn't this like what people want to see, right? It's like, this is like everything I wanted in a dumb action movie.
It was very successful.
It was. I mean, I get it. It's like, you know, I love the ending when the guy like steps on the landmine and just fucking like body
so
explodes. That's hilarious.
Yeah, more of that.
Yeah,
that would have been awesome.
The chameleon or iguana, just like out of nowhere, like just at the right time, like you're on a minefield, and then just you get the visual of like, okay, that just blows up right next to you, and everybody's like, okay, what? It was so weird.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like the resources he gets to like make a movie that's like this.
People
stupid.
keep seeing it. Audiences enjoy it. It got an A on CinemaScore. So
yeah, well, I respect something that's like this stupid. It's just like, yeah, why even try to, you know, no pretense. Like, who even cares about the story? That's not why you're here, right? You just want to see dumb shit. Like, here it is.
That is an interesting thing about his movies. Like, he doesn't really have any critical success, but he's just had that commercial success again and again. Like, people are just fine.
He knows what people want to see. Yeah.
He's like if Zack Snyder's fans weren't all bots.
Yeah, exactly. Like real people, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Zack Snyder, he overuses the CGI, and he's like actually trying to tell a story. Like that's why his movies are so freaking boring. Like this movie, he doesn't give a fuck. It's just like whatever. Yeah. Like
it's like the inverse problem. Like Zack Snyder's kind of like humorless and like
and takes himself way more
totally
seriously.
Just like deadpan. Where Michael Bay is almost like the opposite, where he needs to be like reeled back. Like just
Zack Snyder's a lot more pretentious.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I never get like any pretense from Michael Bay. It's very much just, this is clearly what he likes. Girls, explosions, and funny.
And woosah.
Yeah, attempts at funny. Yeah, the woosah thing gets so old.
I like how the first scene was like 3 or 4 cutaway gag flashbacks in a row. It's like, this is like a fucking Seth MacFarlane film or some shit. It was so weird.
Yeah, that was terrible. Yeah, like I'm like, this could have been cut out.
Did they explain in any of those? I think someone in my chat said that they explained it, but I didn't really get the full picture. But the female lead from the first film, we're just forgetting about her, right? Did they explain like he dated her and then they broke up or something? Like, is that something they said? I couldn't even tell if someone was being serious.
I don't even remember a line addressing it.
Yeah, I don't know if they did address it.
I don't think it even matters.
There's just like absolutely disposable character. Like, yeah, she's not real. Okay, bye. She was annoying.
Yeah, exactly.
Bye.
Yeah, exactly.
She's reached the ripe old age of 26. She can't be in movies anymore. Not Michael Bay movies.
Yeah, old news, right? This is again with that frat boy thing, like hit it and quit it, move on. They say in the third one that he broke up with the sister in this movie. It's like, oh, that time I broke up with your sister.
Yeah, I was surprised they even addressed that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I guess they had to because it was Martin Lawrence's sister. It's not just like some random chick. Yeah. It's like actually the character's sister. They're like, all right, so what the fuck happened to that character?
Not important.
Yeah, exactly.
But on that note, can you guys break down that like weird moment of conflict Martin Lawrence and Will Smith have like over the sister character, where they like Martin Lawrence gets angry at Will Smith because he finds out that they were dating, as if like he has some say on who his sister like. It's like really
it's like a social thing that like makes people uncomfortable. It's like one of those unwritten rules, like, yo, you're my homie, don't date my sister, sort of thing. That's it. There's no like logical reason. It's just a social.
It's because they needed forced drama in the film, so it's just like, oh, right in a scene where there's like drama. It doesn't even have to make sense. Like, do you remember the whole bit about how Martin Lawrence like wants to retire or something and leave the force? Like, they don't do anything with that. Like, nothing comes of that by the end of the film. He's just like, he stays a cop at the end of it. He's just like, okay. It's just because you needed some scenes of like dialogue in between the fucking crazy action scenes and the dumb jokes. The scenes of him on ecstasy.
Yeah, and they keep making fun of him going to like therapy and stuff like that. Like, that's an ongoing gag. He's like trying to be peaceful.
Yeah. They're making fun of like,
that's one of the core jokes.
Mental health.
Basically.
Like, haha, you're trying to have some self-control. Haha.
Yeah, you're trying to improve.
Trying to prove yourself. Haha. Yeah, exactly. Like, that's Michael Bay's humor. It's just like making fun of everyone.
That was like,
you're all stupid.
That was the 2003 version of wokeism. It was like, spirituality and new age and self-help and yoga. Ooh.
Yeah, but to me though, I just don't think it's that bad in this movie. Like, I see why some people would have an issue with it. I just don't think it's as extreme as his later movies in terms of those aspects. I really enjoyed the action and like the comedy and whatever. I just don't mind it. I'm like, yeah, this is dumb. Like, I don't take this seriously at all. Yeah, the runtime is definitely a problem. Like, I think that's like the biggest criticism I have with most movies. It's just like it could be shorter, and this could definitely be shorter, especially because it's like so stupid. Yeah, there's tons of things you could cut out. Like Joey Pants, he doesn't do anything but run around and act like the cliche captain.
He yells at them.
Yeah, but like nothing comes of it.
He gets mad because there's more bodies.
Yeah,
he's the reason why they have to not have as many bodies. It's just to add to the humor, I guess.
Yeah, I think those are supposed to be like comedy, like humor. That's the thing. I guess if you found the jokes funny, it would be awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, then it'd be Hot Fuzz, which is actually great. Yeah. Now, Hot Fuzz has a perfect balance of both. It has good action and it has good comedy.
Yeah.
It's like it's short as well.
There's
shorter.
More to the characters.
Yeah.
And
they're
the
like
story.
more characters in that. Yeah.
And the direct, just everything basically.
Yeah.
And again, that sense of like self-awareness too. Like, okay, it's a dumb action movie. It's like we're making fun of. Here, this is the dumb action movie. Like, it's not even making fun of dumb action movies. It's just like, you know what this is? This is this trash. It's like kind of trash. So just like have fun with it. I'm like, all right, there's definitely something to appreciate here about like the stunts and whatever. Mm-hmm. It just could be shorter. Yeah, I still enjoyed parts of it.
So this film was set in Miami, and in my headcanon for this, like, I'm imagining that there's some massive oversight, or they defunded the infrastructure for windows in Miami, in my head, because every window is super breakable. Like, you just like push someone against the transit system window, they fall out. The guys pushing the desks through the windows, like at the beginning, like over top, they start shooting out. I'm like, why didn't you just shoot out the windows? Like, it was so weird. I guess they were trying to block the cars with the desks. I'm not sure, but the fact that they just like, could you imagine pushing a desk through a window like that and the window just like shatters? It's so funny.
Yeah, it'd probably be very difficult, right?
Yeah, like you can't just do that. It's just so fragile.
But it looks cool, right? It's just like everything's like, it looks cool. Yeah, it's got the logic of like a video game. It's like Vice City. Yeah, it's like whatever.
Landing in water from any height is just like a save all. Like,
yeah, you're fine.
Yeah,
exactly. I don't have much else to say about
Me neither.
it. I don't know if you do. Okay.
No.
I enjoyed Martin Lawrence on Ecstasy. I like the action. Yeah, I could definitely appreciate great stunts in action. The rest of it, whatever. I don't think it's as unwatchable as the Transformers movies. I just think it's much more watchable than something like that. I was really impressed by the action in this film. Some of the best like car chase scenes I've probably seen like ever, honestly. Especially that like spinning around shootout, the scene at the end when they blow up the house and like go through the shanty town, the car chase at the beginning. I'm like, those are really cool scenes. Like, I really enjoyed that. The the shit just got real shot. That was cool. Mm-hmm. So I'd probably give it like a 6 out of 10. It's like, I don't even believe in the term like guilty pleasure. I'm like, yeah, I enjoyed parts of it. It's just like, it could have been so much shorter. I probably would have liked it more. I might have even bumped it up to a 7 if it was just much shorter than it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a solid 6 out of 10. It's definitely the best one, I think, out of this trilogy. It's just from me.
Yeah, I think within that 2.5 hours, you could trim it down in something I might enjoy. Something a bit more consistent, less like bloated, like just less excess. Because just every single element is just excess to the max. And that's the thing that just holds me back. It's like, am I really going to want to sit through this again? Like that 2.5 hours of that kind of mindless excess, the sleazy excess. I don't know. Because I do like that like small confined, the Haitian scene or whatever, where it's just spinning around like crazy, going through the holes in the wall. Just wish there was more of that, more of the confined stuff. It's just all over the place to me. I'd always been like curious about this one in particular because it does have like the reputation and being in Hot Fuzz and reference and whatnot, and I'd only seen like little snippets here and there of it, but as like a whole package, it's just so Michael Bay, and I guess that's like just like Marmite to you, and it's kind of like, I don't know, just kind of disgusting in ways to me. But as far as the rating's concerned, I'll just give it like a 2-star, the same as the first movie, 4 out of 10. Like, yeah, it's definitely the best of the series and has the best moments, but yeah, it does have the worst as well. I probably won't be watching it again.
Yeah, it was excess to the excess. It was somehow more enjoyable, but also more boring at the same time. More memorable, but more forgettable. It was too long. And yeah, I mean, there's more from this film that I like, that I can even pick out in my memory. But holy shit, there was a lot of just like, it was also kind of bad. It was also pretty stupid and not great. I would give this a 4 out of 10. I would also like to just point out the ending was terrible. The ending was like super abrupt. They like completely shat it out, which is weird because you have like 2.5 hours, already.
Again, the same joke. The pool like crash, the pool like breaking or whatever.
Oh, that, yeah.
Yeah, like even like just before that, where it's just like it fades out on like them kissing, and it was like, oh, what? What the fuck? It was like so weird.
Yeah, it's just not interested in anything like that. It just wants to wrap up once the action's over.
The pool joke was so funny. They're doing it again.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like when that first happened, I'm like, holy shit, this is just how out of touch Hollywood people are. Like, it's just like even if you're like even if you're rich, like, I don't know, I feel like people would have more of a reaction to like the pool being broken, like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to buy a new one. Like, that's a huge financial burden. Like, I don't know, it was just weird how they were like, oh well, that was dumb.
Yeah, like the slapstick stuff. Yeah, just really.
Yeah, they're like cops. Like, how are they able to afford like all this shit? Like, Will Smith he gets his car destroyed. It's like, yeah, they're like,
he has like a $4,000 pool and stuff.
Yeah. It's like, it's going to cost $25,000 to redo your car. That should be like his whole like year's salary, basically. We're like, yeah, Martin Lawrence with the pool. You're like, yeah, it's $3,500 to get it installed. They're like, yeah, that would be bad. That would be like, he'd have to take out like a debt or something, like whatever.
Yeah,
he's just not supposed to think about it. It's like impossible to take it seriously.
You're supposed to point and laugh.
Yeah, main characters in big budget movies often have like infinite money and just like ridiculous homes.
Yeah, it's like a video game, right?
Everybody lives in a mansion. Like, this is how normal people live, right? This is like the average person. Yeah, it's always so funny.
Yeah. Well, whatever. I definitely understand what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I still enjoyed it. Okay, want me to just get right into the third one? Okay. So Bad Boys for Life came out 2019, right?
2020, right?
For
2020 came out 2020. Yeah, and it's starring Martin Lawrence, same people. To this one's credit, I think it has a little bit more of a story. There's like this whole like kind of cartel leader who escapes from prison, and she has this vendetta against Will Smith because of like some personal background stuff going on. And aside from that, yeah, it's kind of the same shit. The two cop characters, and they're going through some stuff, and they got to uncover some kind of crime. And yeah, I don't know about this one. It's
I thought this was a huge drop off.
Yeah, I thought so as well. Well, just to like start with like the fact that these are action movies, the second one gets to the action like pretty quickly. It takes like about not even like 20 minutes to get into that cool like car chase, and even the film like Heat, which we talked about, like it's like right at the start there's like an action scene with like a heist. I'm like, oh, that's cool. This movie takes like a good like 40 minutes, I think, to like get into some action, and it's very brief, and like there's not a lot of action.
So funny.
Yeah, it's like a lot of like dialogue and like actually trying to develop these characters, which is like, I feel a huge mistake because they are cliches. They're walking cliches.
Their writing's terrible. Like they don't have the talent to develop these characters, but they're gonna try anyway. It's so awful.
Yeah.
By the way, this is from the Batgirl directors. The canceled Batgirl movie.
Oh, is it?
Uh-huh.
Interesting.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Which makes me want to see it more. It's so forbidden,
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Adil El Arabi.
Yeah, it just reminded me of like the just Hollywood just won't let certain IPs just die or just stay where they belong, Like, just leave The Matrix alone, leave Independence Day alone. Leave Jurassic Park alone.
It's a textbook legacy sequel.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's just like 17 years later, let's try Bad Boys again, but make it like, they're kind of old now. He's retired and he can make the kind of old jokes because the audience and fan base will be like kind of in line with them.
Oh, my back.
Yeah. No, it's just...
So, by the books.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Those directors, they didn't really bring much style to like this movie. At least Michael Bay brought like a style.
It was weird.
Yeah, it looked very bland.
Well, because it was like at parts where it was almost like, okay, are you trying to like emulate what was in the previous films because you're not doing a great job.
Right.
It's like massively toned down.
Near the beginning of the film, there's this really, really weird editing choice. So they get out of the car, the camera sort of like pans around, and Martin Lawrence opens his door, and it's the fire hydrant or whatever, right? But you get that nice like sweeping pan of the, I don't remember what model of car, but you know, it moves from Will Smith's side all the way to Martin Lawrence's side, and by the time it gets to Martin Lawrence's side, that, you know, he hits the fire hydrant, and then it just cuts to Will Smith, and then it cuts back to the shot still continuing. Like you had the full shot, like that you could have just used seamlessly, but instead you cut like to Will Smith, and all he was saying was like, "Way," and that's it. It's like, well, you could have just had that in the show. It was so abrupt and so weird. It was so
it's like incompetent.
Yeah, it was a
Right.
such a nonsense choice that was just like, what? Like you had the shot's there. You didn't have to do. You could ADR him even if he didn't say it in the take. He was out of frame. You know, like
they try to replicate like the shot from Bad Boys 2 when they say shit's got real, except like they don't capture any of what made that shot like work. Like it doesn't look as good. There's not as much stuff in the background, and like even like dramatically where it is in the story, like what worked about that shot is it's like at the end of the movie. It's like, okay, shit is getting real. Like, you know, they're about to do the final act or whatever. It's like it's just like plopped in.
Yeah, it was a reaction to something dramatic. Yeah, I don't even remember what it was reaction to in this one.
Sure. Like, like the sister got kidnapped. Mm-hmm. Right. It's just like a random thing that happened. Like, it's like totally forgettable.
Yeah, it just felt like a reference, a member type thing.
They brought back Reggie.
Yeah, member berries, like you said.
Reggie's back.
Oh, the boyfriend.
Yeah.
Right.
And DJ Khaled.
Yeah, another one.
Oh yeah, well the DJ Khaled scene was terrible. He was only in it for like a minute.
He's not an actor.
No, he was really bad in that scene.
Yeah, I thought maybe he had like a song or something on the soundtrack and that's why he was in the credits, but no, he's just straight up like a character in the movie.
Yeah, he owns like a deli or like a pork store. It's like, what?
Oh yeah, the funniest fucking thing in the world is when he says he's a hardworking man. I'm just a regular guy. I'm like, dude, you were like the face of like privilege and nepotism. Like you look like you were born with like so much money that you're so detached you don't even understand like what milk costs. Like
another one.
You definitely got in the industry because of your talent. Like, okay.
Well, you were talking about like how incompetent certain parts of this movie is. There's that scene, that part where he touches Will Smith's sleeve. I guess Will Smith is angry at him because he got like pig fat on his sleeve, but like it's not even clear like what he was angry about.
What are you doing with this character? That feels so out of place for him.
What was even the joke there? Like it took me a second to even understand what was happening in that scene.
They were trying to do like a Pulp Fiction type thing, you know? It was like, oh, I'm being intimidating now. It just like
it's a much better movie.
Yeah, describe what Marcellus Wallace looks like. They were trying to go for like, oh, I'm pissing off the guy with a gun. I'm sorry.
It was so like poorly done.
Like it was like, but that's not the character.
Yeah,
that's not the character I remember. At least, like it didn't seem consistent with the other films.
Say whatever you want about like Bad Boys 1 and 2. You don't have to like them or think they're funny, but at least like the jokes make sense. Like the scenes in this movie. Yeah. Like the scene where in the video store, like that was really lame, but at least it like made sense what the joke was supposed to be. Here, this is like it's not even clear half the time, like what they're trying to go for, like in the comedy or how it's shot.
Yeah, it was so weird.
Yeah.
So near the beginning of the film, there's another character that kind of looks like DJ Khaled that's not, and he becomes like he's the sidekick of the sniper guy or whatever, kind of. And it's weird. So like the whole knife scene happens, where he's like, kills the guy, and then there's just a bunch of random characters just like staring in awe, like, oh wow, I'm going to stand still because this guy just killed everybody. But the lighting and the framing, there was so much visual attention on this one character that even though he hadn't said anything yet, it was essentially spoiling like who was going to say something. Like out of all these random characters, it's like a group of like, I don't know, 5, 6, 8 people or something. But then there's just the way he's staged and the way it was so weird. Just like he had extra lights on him and shit. It was just like, what the fuck? Like you're telling me visually that he's going to say something and then he does. It was just like, It's such a bizarre choice.
The movie looks terrible.
Oh, yeah.
It looks terrible. They keep putting freaking filters on the camera.
Yeah,
it's like so
yellow.
many filters. Yeah, there's so many orange filters. It's just like, oh my god, it looks awful.
It has a weird look to it.
It looks terrible. This like
really synthetic.
bad green screen, really blandly shot. There's points with like really bad muzzle flashes that look worse than like something you'd see in a YouTube video. It was like really noticeable, especially at the end. I'm like, yeah, I could find that fucking plugin like on my laptop.
Yeah.
Like I have that. Like it's like so cheap. I'm like, this is like a big budget movie.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy.
Yeah,
it is crazy.
Yeah, especially some of that green screen stuff. Like whenever they're in like the interior of a car, it's like really noticeable.
Oh yeah, it never felt like they were driving. Ever.
Yeah,
Never.
which was just not an issue really in those first two movies.
Yeah.
Or like that
Made me miss
action
Michael
scene
Bay.
on the bike with the like sidecar. That looked like
That sucked.
awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looked really, really amateur.
Anytime you actually got shots of the motorbikes, like them or the stunt men or whatever, stunt people, they were driving so fucking slow. Like any individual shot, it's like, holy shit, you're going like 2 miles an hour. Like how is it? What? Like at least with Michael Bay, he provided the illusion.
Right. Michael Bay was there. He'd be going, go faster.
Yeah, he provided the illusion that, either they were driving fast or he was competent enough to make it seem like they were driving faster than they are. These directors weren't able to do either. Like, it's just, if you're going to have them drive slow for safety reasons or something, at least make it seem like in the context of the film and the characters that things are happening fast. That's kind of important, maybe.
Yeah,
for sure.
I just figured it's because like Martin Lawrence is kind of getting older by this point. Like, so they've just got to like hide on like green screens basically whenever they're doing any major action scene.
But even like the real stunt people it didn't seem like they were going fast at all. Like, ignore the shots with Martin Lawrence. It's like nothing was happening action wise. It was like, you're just going for a stroll. Like, this is supposed to be a chase scene. You'd think you'd want to be going fast if you're trying to get away from the other character or chase the other character. Like, why aren't you just going faster? Like, what the fuck? It was so weird. Like, watch that scene again. It's crazy how slow they're going. Like, legit. It's embarrassing. It's like one of the most incompetent chase sequences I've ever seen.
I feel bad I bought this on like 4K. It's like such a waste of money. I expected much better than this. I knew it was going to be like kind of bland, but yeah, this is like really dull. I think Martin Lawrence was trying. I don't think he was good. That's not what I'm saying. I think he was trying.
It seems like he ran out of energy. He lost his fucking mojo. Like,
yeah, he was getting up there. He was trying his best.
He seemed like he wasn't getting a proper night's sleep every night or some shit. Like, I don't know.
I think he was doing his best with like the material. I mean, he has nothing to work with here. Like, the story is such, like, shit. Like, the script is terrible. The dialogue is terrible.
Yeah.
I really had a problem with Will Smith much more than I did Martin Lawrence. I thought Will Smith was, like, kind of bad in this movie. I felt he was, like, sleepwalking through it at points with, like, his line delivery. Like, at times. Like, when he says, like, just because I fucked your mother doesn't mean I'm your grandpa. Like, the way he delivered that line was, like, really bad. I'm like, he's, like, really bad in this movie. He's, like, he looks bored. He's, like, not even, like, in the Bad Boys, too, he's yelling, and, like, you could tell he's, like, going through crazy shit, or at least he's, like, pretending to.
Yeah, he had, like, energy.
Yeah, and this one, he's just like, if you try to run, I'm gonna fucking kill you. He isn't yelling, he doesn't sound like he wants to be there, honestly. Like, I just had such an issue with him, and it felt like they kept, like, writing around him, like, all these other subplots going on. It's just like, Will Smith didn't even want to be in it. Like, that's just how I felt. It's like, he wasn't even really trying, or at least not trying as hard as I think he should have. Like, and I thought Martin Lawrence was, like, at least, like, a little bit better. That's how I felt. Do you disagree, Adam?
Yeah, no.
I mean, they were both really bad, but I think partially why Martin Lawrence stood out to me as particularly bad is probably because he was just so much better in the first two. Whereas, like, what happened to my boy? Like, who hurt him? You know? Like, so that was where most of my attention was.
Maybe. I still thought he was better than Will Smith, though. Will Smith just kind of seemed, like, out of it.
He seemed like Gemini Man.
He was, like,
he seemed like he was just the same character.
He definitely seemed like Gemini Man.
It's just like that serious...
The plot was also
like
Gemini Man.
That serious Will Smith. I hate Will Smith when he's trying to take himself, like, too seriously. It's like, he's better when he's, like, trying to be funny or, like, he has, like, that charisma that's just kind of missing in this movie. He doesn't really have that here. He could have, but I don't think he did. It's just like, yeah, it's like he was too like bland in it. He was too boring, I felt. Yeah, I just thought he was like, his line delivery at times was really bad. Like, I noticed it, how bad it was.
It's also like some of the worst writing I've seen in a major film of like the entire decade.
Yeah, it was like hilarious. It was awesome.
The jokes are so lame.
It's so amateur. Like, even ignore the dialogue for a second. Like, the way that we get the initial incident, essentially, of like Will Smith getting shot, is they decide to have a foot race out of nowhere. They're like, hey, why don't we race? We'll see who's faster. And their police chief is like gonna time it. And it's like, are they like, what kind of, it would,
yeah, what are they in high school?
all you would have to do to fix it, if you really wanted that to happen in the film, you could find ways to make it happen. You could have them drunk out of their mind, and then it's like, okay, now it makes sense that they're doing this stupid thing for no reason. But that wasn't implied, right? It wasn't implied that they were shit-faced. They were just like, oh yeah, let's have a foot race. Like, I don't know if maybe that was the intention originally in the writing, and then the directors forgot to communicate that, or maybe there's like a deleted scene or something. They weren't acting drunk. It's just they decided to have a foot race, and then Will Smith just gets shot. He's like turning around, doing the fucking stupidest lanky run, and then just falls over. And that was like one of the funniest parts of the whole movie. I was like,
yeah, when he gets shot,
I had more genuine laughs in this film than any of the other ones, for sure. It was so funny.
Yeah, no, it's the funniest, ironically. Like, what was cracking me up was the whole like,
give me your 4K Blu-ray, I'll take
the reveal towards the end. That, you know, the reveal where they're like, it turns out that all along Will Smith, like 20 years ago, was like an undercover agent somewhere, and he had this whole relationship with the villain, and they actually do the secret unknown son plot.
Like, why?
Yeah. The way they reveal it is so incompetent. Like, Will Smith seems upset. I had no idea why. And then he's just like, oh, it's my son. I'm like, it's just like, he blurts it out. Like, what?
Well,
like, what the fuck?
Typically in movies where you have like, okay, you have this like crazy character who's like going around and killing everybody. He's too powerful. And then it turns out, oh, it's my son. Usually in those types of films, the reason why they do that is because the main character has some sort of like superhero trait where it's like, oh, it can only be my son because genetically, like, they're just so good at everything. Like, Will Smith's just a cop. Like, he's just a normal guy. He's just a cop who was driving fine. Like,
Not
what?
anymore.
Was he the best sniper in the world? And then it passed down to him through his genes. But they try to play it off that way, where it's like, he's so brutal. That's why he's your son, because he never gives up, and he's just such a great killer and stuff. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Who are you?
But if you remember, his son, he's a bad guy, but he doesn't kill innocent people. It's like the part he's about to kill Will Smith, but he's like, no, there's an innocent person in front of him.
He's so good at it, though.
Yeah, he's holding a cross. He's like, so like dumb writing. Like, he's the bad guy. Just make him like kill people. Yeah. He's the bad guy. Like, what's the point? Like, trying to develop these guys. It's so corny.
Yeah, he still like assassinates like 7 people.
Yeah, right.
It's so
they were like rich people, so it's okay. It's like, okay,
it's
whatever.
So weird and unnecessary. Like, I was not, no way I could have predicted like they would do a like, it's my son, and I did a lot of things off screen before the other movies. Like, what?
Yeah,
I didn't expect that at all. Yeah, that was like a surprising reveal. That's really funny.
It's such an unnecessary thing to have in a Bad Boys film. Like, you're adding layers to it. That just, who gives a shit?
Right, they're trying to have a story here. It doesn't work.
They're pretending that they're characters.
Right.
Yeah, no, it was falling into the whole like the Fast and Furious problem, you know, where it's like, okay, we've kind of spent everything that this initial story has to offer. So, now let's just go to this random period of time that wasn't on screen, and there was this whole secret backstory, and basically everyone just becomes superheroes, and it just turns into this, like, it just gets dumber and dumber and more stretched, and it's like clearly their motivation based on that like Marvel stinger at the end is that they were kind of like wanted it to half be a getting rid of Martin Lawrence, like passing the torch type affair. Like you teased earlier that there's like a sequel in the works or whatever, and clearly that's what the studio wants to happen. It's like, let's kind of turn this into a big franchise, like the Will Smith kind of Fast and Furious type action spectacle movie.
There's the little Marvel teaser and the post credits, right, with like the sun. Like, we got some work for you or whatever. Like, they're trying to like set up some sequel.
You can get some years down.
That fucking ensemble of annoying ass like young characters that did not look like cops or whatever they were supposed to be.
Oh, Vanessa Hudgens.
Fucking Vanessa Hudgens.
Yeah. All of them.
Yeah, the High School Musical girls.
None of them could act. They were so annoying. Holy shit. Like, the gang's all here. Like, this is your cast. You're presenting them as, like, a big group of characters that you're supposed to, like, attach to, like, you're supposed to like over the course of the movie or some shit. Like, oh, I'm glad to see them again.
Yeah, like Blade 3 or something.
Oh, the gang's here.
Yeah.
The gang's going into a fight. Oh, like, who the fuck? It was so annoying. I hated those characters.
No, it's what they all do, because like they tried to do that in like Indiana Jones 4 or the Independence Day Resurgence, where it's like, let's try and pass this on to the new blood to keep the franchise going, because that's what matters. It's just keeping it alive, keep the zombie walking forward.
Jackass 4.
Yeah.
At least that in that movie it makes sense. I'm like, well, someone's got to do this dance.
Yeah, that was actually funny too.
Yeah, that's not like a narrative you're supposed to take seriously like this. I was just going to mention the Joey Pants character. He was basically designed to be in like one scene in the first movie. That was like all his character was meant to serve a purpose as. And here he's like, it's just like they keep giving him these scenes. It's like he's not an interesting character. He's not, they try to develop him. They give him a death scene. It's so pointless. Yeah. It's like, was I actually supposed to care about this character? Like, come on. Like, it's so silly.
I would like to point out near the beginning of the film, the worst fucking fake out maybe of all time.
That was funny.
It's like,
the
you
wedding.
think that, wedding, 6 months later after Will Smith,
you think it's a funeral,
and everyone's crying, close shots of their face, and then like the pastor's like, we're gathered here today to have a wedding, and it's like all of a sudden just like super happy, like
then Will Smith comes up in the wheelchair.
That was so annoying.
Like, describing it doesn't even do it justice.
It's so bad.
It was so stupid.
I was so mad at that.
It's so stupid.
Yeah.
Maybe it was supposed to be funny. I can't even tell.
And then it's like, then you have the Joey Pants funeral. Joey Pants' character gets a real funeral. I'm like, what, is this going to be a wedding? Like, he can still do it.
Yeah. You're right. That makes it even worse. The fact that they actually have a funeral later on.
Yeah.
It, like, makes it even more ridiculous.
The fake out, it takes away from, like, the seriousness or the potential seriousness.
Right. Potential. Because it's just like, again, all these characters are fucking cliches. There's no reason to care about any of them. It's just like trying to develop them is so pointless.
Yeah.
It's so pointless in like an action movie like this. Like, does anyone care about this story?
Imagine how awesome that would have been if they did just like kill Will Smith off in like 40 minutes in, and it was just Martin Lawrence like by himself for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, with all those annoying kids.
Yeah. That's what I thought they were going to do, because Will Smith seems so not interested in this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly. Jesus.
Well, so before this movie was like even made, they had like a fourth one planned, basically. Let's see what was the timeline of events. All right, so this is going to be a mouthful, but this is kind of funny. All right, so Michael Bay, the director of the first two Bad Boys films, stated in June 2008 that he might direct Bad Boys 3, but the greatest obstacle would be the cost, considering Will Smith and himself had demanded some of the highest salaries in the industry. By August 2009, Columbia Pictures had hired Peter Craig to write a script for the sequel. So this is like 2008 and 2009 we're talking about right now. February 2011, Martin Lawrence stated that the film was in development. Following several days, Jerry Bruckheimer announced in June 2014 that screenwriter David Guggenheim was working on the storyline for the sequel. 2 months later, Lawrence said that a script had been written and roles had been cast in 2014. The following year, in 2015, it was reported that director Joe Carnahan was in early talks to write and possibly direct the film. Sony Pictures Entertainment announced a short time later, in August 2015, that there were plans for 2 sequels, with Bad Boys 3 scheduled for release in February 2017, followed by Bad Boys 4 in July 3rd, 2019. In early 2016, Bad Boys 3 was pushed to June 2017, with no update on the release of Bad Boys 4. Producers had planned to begin production in early 2017. Another delay had surfaced in August 2016 to avoid competition with the upcoming DC Comics film Wonder Woman. The studio pushed the film's release to January 12th, 2018. It was also revealed that the film would be titled Bad Boys for Life. In October 2016, interview on Jimmy Jimmy Kimmel Live, Lawrence said that filming might begin in March 2017. In December 2016, an updated release for Bad Boys 4 was set for May 24, 2019. Sony announced in February 2017 that the film's release would be delayed for a third time in November 2018. The following month, Carnahan left the movie due to scheduling conflicts. In August 2017, Sony removed the third film from their scheduled release, and later in the month, Lawrence said the film would not happen. Planning resumed in February 2018 as Belgian directors Adil and Falah, I can't say their names, were signed in place of Carnahan, and Smith and Lawrence were confirmed to reprise. Geek Worldwide reported that the third installment in the Bad Boys franchise would film November 2018 to March 2019 in Miami and Atlanta, with a release date scheduled for January 17th, 2020. And it came out in 2020. And since this movie, and since the slap, both Martin Lawrence and one of the Sony heads have confirmed, like, oh yeah, Bad Boys 4 is still happening despite the slap and everything. Yeah, don't worry. They basically, despite rumors, we're still doing Bad Boys 4, even though the slap happened. So yeah, like, production hell, it seems. Like, just, they couldn't get the ball rolling. Like, they were trying to get it made in 2008. Like, holy shit.
Yeah. That's a bad sign, right? Yeah, for like any movie with development problems, usually not a good sign for like how it's going to turn out. I wanted to mention too, I don't know if you remember, this is the highest grossing movie of the year came out, 2020. That's because, you know, the pandemic, really? I bet the pandemic influenced it, but domestically it's the highest grossing movie of that year. And it's like the third highest grossing worldwide.
Yeah, 426 million apparently. It was still profitable.
Worldwide, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, even like worldwide, it's like the third highest grossing. It's a lot of money. It did really well. It was a huge success.
Yeah,
which is like it's a rated R like action movie. Like I think that is kind of interesting. Yeah, but yeah, it's not good. I just thought that was like maybe it was COVID or whatever. I'm sure it wouldn't have been the same if like there wasn't like a quarantine, because I think it came out like kind of before like the world fell apart or whatever.
Well, January 2020, I think the quarantine thing started happening in March, so it had a couple months like uninterrupted.
Yeah, it was definitely before that. Yeah, I'm sure it would have been very different if not for the quarantine, but it is technically the highest grossing of that year.
No other movies got released. Everything else just pushed their release date further.
Yeah. The last movie I saw was like The Invisible Man, and that was like February. So yeah, I think you're right. It's like more March, April. That's when quarantine started. Yeah, that's crazy. Like this is like the highest grossing movie of that year
for US.
The highest grossing American movie. Yeah, highest grossing US.
Fuck you, Tenet.
These like two other Chinese movies that like did better. Yeah, Tenet did fine, but like worldwide it did fine. I mean,
gosh, so there almost certainly will be a sequel then.
Yeah, man. Probably. I mean, it was so successful.
That's what they're saying. They've confirmed it after the slap. What's so crazy to me is that they knew while they were making Bad Boys 3 and while they were releasing Bad Boys 3, they were like, they knew that they were going to make a fourth one. But they didn't call it Bad Boys 3. They called it Bad Boys for Life. But that seems like such a better title for the fourth one. Bad Boys for Life.
That's what Bad Boys for Life. True. That would have been great.
What are they going to call it? What are they going to call the fourth one now?
Yeah, well, they're trapped now.
3 makes sense. Bad Boys 3. It's a trilogy. Why do you have to keep the number 3? You should be embarrassed of number 4. That's how these things work. Be proud of number 3.
They'll probably just do like Bad Boys Forever.
Oh God.
And then make it
a No. Oh boy.
Forever.
Oh fuck. Speaking of like awful cheese, I lost my shit when they were in the airplane and they said, "We fly together, we die together." I like absolutely lost it. I was like, "Oh my God, you're really saying that? We fly together?" Oh, because we're in an airplane right now. Holy shit. I can't believe that.
Yeah. Or like they say, we die together or whatever. He's like, "Well, you died." When Martin Lawrence says that, like, it's such bad dialogue. All the dialogue is terrible.
Oh yeah, you did die. We revived you. Like I meant we die together. Like, you're on your 3rd or 4th life, bro. So it doesn't count. Okay. And they just, Martin Lawrence's character is like religious all of a sudden in this movie. It's like, it never implied he wasn't in the first 2, but it wasn't really a part of his character to such a degree where he's deciding like, I can't be violent. I promised God I wouldn't. Like, what? That's such a crazy thing to add to your to your 3rd movie all of a sudden.
Was that supposed to be a joke? Like, I don't.
It was like a part. Yeah, it was a part of like the character conflict.
Yeah, he was acting like it was a huge reveal. Yeah.
Yeah.
He did act like it was a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I promised God that I wouldn't do violence if you survived. And then Will Smith has to convince him to like shoot the people that are trying to kill both of them. Like, okay, God gave you this gun, and like, would you have just let it happen? Like, if Will Smith didn't convince you, you'd just be like, well, I got shot, but
it's impossible to take this seriously. It's just like, crazy. I do not care about any of these characters. The dialogue scenes are just terrible. So much of this movie is dialogue and no action. Yeah. And the action sucks. Yeah, it's just like really makes me miss those first two. It's like the craft of like certain scenes. They're not great.
Yeah.
I definitely like them more than this.
Well, the first film's like there's more practical shit going on, and like I said earlier, like it feels like they're driving fast. It feels like they're going through the things and the, explosions and things are happening. In this film, they fucking CG'd the windows exploding at the end. Like, the windows of the they couldn't even just, like, have the windows explode.
The CG fire, the fucking muzzle flashes look so bad. Yeah. The muzzle flashes were atrocious.
I hate it.
Oh.
I hate it so much. I hate that CG fire. And the helicopter, like, crashing through the building, like, it's supposed to be like, oh, so epic, but it's like, you don't believe that any of this is happening for, like, a second. You know? Yeah. None of it is, like, convincing. Yeah. I don't understand how I'm supposed to be exhilarated or impressed.
Yeah, I gotta say, this franchise has a real villain problem. Like, we've, like, barely even mentioned anything about any of the villains in any of these movies.
That's true.
Because it's the
villains are the critics.
Yeah, basically. I guess the Cuban guy from the second one's probably the most memorable one, just because he's like kind of excessive, as I was saying the second movie is, and he's like cutting apart the like Russians and stuff, and it's
really it's a good death
over the top. But like
a witch.
Yeah, who is it in this movie? It's the witch woman. Who we had like a relationship with,
like,
and they have this
real.
like really complicated assassination subplot. Yeah, it's really strange because you would think you'd want to hire someone with charisma to match the two leads, so at least you have some kind of like dynamic to exploit.
Yeah,
as opposed to whatever they're doing.
Felt like she could have been a villain in Tom Cruise's The Mummy.
yeah,
like different movie.
Yeah, it's just like you could have thrown in anybody, right? Yeah, like you're right. The villains are usually like the best parts of certain action movies, like Hans
like
Gruber
Die
and
Hard
Die
or whatever.
Hard, the James Bond movies, like Rami Malek, Javier Bardem, or Mads Mikkelsen. Right? Like you need if they got like an actor of that caliber, that would have added a lot to the movie,
like a foil of some kind.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I guess I do appreciate this movie's like a little less with the sexist humor, like the ass shots or whatever. Like they try to have developed like female characters who like aren't just like sex objects. But it ends up being very bland at the end of the day. Like I do appreciate the attempt, but they're just not interesting. Like none of the female characters in this movie are interesting. They're like every other character. They just suck. Like every character sucks. There's no point even developing anything. Yeah, they're just, the Michael Bay movies were just a bunch of action movie cliches, and so were the characters. And it's like, there's no point even trying to develop it past that. Yeah. And Michael Bay has a cameo in the wedding scene, but that was fun.
So I'm glad we all seem to agree that the third one is particularly bad, because I'm going to blow your mind. The IMDb ratings for the Bad Boys film, the first one is 6.8. The second one is 6.6, and the third one is 6.5. So, like, it seems like most people, they all thought that they were about the same. But this film it feels so embarrassing. Like, if you like I don't understand how someone could watch the action scenes in this film and treat them on the same level or caliber as the others. Like, it's just...
Yeah.
None of it feels convincing in any way. Like, they're not even driving fast. They're driving slow. It's so embarrassing. I don't understand. I don't get it.
Yeah.
It's like a huge drop-off for me. Like, more than 0.1 from the second film,
Yeah. Recency bias and, the fact that it made so much money. A lot of people saw it. Yeah, I do think those first two were much better. Like...
Yeah, they're not comparable.
Even just talking about it now.
Yeah. This one just feels like pathetic.
They made me miss Michael Bay. That's crazy.
Yeah, for sure. Those aren't great movies by any means, but I do appreciate the stunts and the action. Like I said, I do think those practical stunts that look really dangerous go a long way in like selling that kind of movie. Here it's mostly CG shit. It looks terrible and it's very blandly shot. Yeah, it's way too bland.
Yeah.
The writing's terrible.
Yeah, it did just feel like Gemini Man combined with Fast and Furious, basically. A little bit of nostalgia for Bad Boys.
Yeah.
Just the kind of worst shit you can imagine, basically.
Yeah, I'd rather watch Gemini Man. At least that was Ang Lee directing.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It's weird to feel that way.
I'd rather watch Gemini Man.
Yeah. I would.
Yes.
I mean, sometimes it takes like a huge piece of shit to make you appreciate other things a bit more. Like,
exactly.
You know, it really puts... I'm glad I watched this film because it really puts into perspective. Like, say what you will about Michael Bay. His movies aren't great. They're not like high art or anything. But he was at least competent at filming action scenes. Like, he knew how to make it feel like action was happening. Like, and that's the bare minimum, you know? You couldn't even do that in this film.
Yeah, he has like a style that you could like recognize.
You can normally tell when he's directing.
That's not me defending Transformers. Those movies are terrible.
Yes.
But like, this is like, this is way too bland.
Yeah.
This is much worse than those other two
so many
Bad Boys.
Fucking weird choices.
Yeah.
Like when the woman's like shooting and the camera goes like sideways. I'm like, wow, thought it was so cool, but it didn't work.
It's too quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Some weird zooms. Yeah, it's really odd.
There's intent in how things are filmed, but it's so uncoordinated. What's the word? Like, it's poorly planned out. It doesn't have like a proper purpose for it. There was one part, like when the body gets dropped on the car, and then Martin Lawrence is, I guess, like just going to talk to God about some stuff while Will Smith is getting shot and like not helping him. But we get this weird shot from like the top of the building, and it's the quickest crank zoom, and it just cuts to Martin Lawrence during the crank zoom, and all that's happening is he says the word shit. Like, nothing's happening in the shot, but we get a crank zoom for it.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the action continues. I'm like, what the? It was so out of nowhere. Like, why do we... One crank zoom in the film, and it's just that, and it's Martin Lawrence saying shit, and then the movie just keeps going on. As if that never happened. Like, what the fuck? It was so bizarre.
And it wasn't like a punchline shit either, really.
It was
just like, it was just like thrown in there.
No reason why that was there. What the hell? So bizarre. Yeah,
really bad.
It was really a Gemini Man.
I guess we could get into ratings. What else is there to say? What else is there even to say about it? It's like, it's much worse than I thought it would be. I was expecting like maybe in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
But it's even worse than like that first one to me. Like, it's the worst one of the three.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
It's that legacy sequel problem mixed with like the trilogy problem where like the third one just like they don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do we do? It's 17 years later. This is just a terrible idea from concept. It's just like tired.
This is the Shrek 3.
Maybe if Michael Bay directed it, it would be a bit more interesting.
Bring him back for number
instead
4.
Of this weird, like, it's like 5% Michael Bay. It's like some of the stuff they attempt is like, oh, yeah, maybe we should try and let's imagine how Michael would have done it. And just do that, but like 5%.
Yeah. So embarrassing. It's crazy. It makes me want to watch the Batgirl movie because it was funny, at least. It was embarrassing funny, you know? Like, I want to watch something that incompetent, in a DC movie. I mean...
Oh, I bet the Batgirl movie's, like, atrocious after seeing this. I have no faith these guys can make anything good.
Oh, it would be so fun.
Yeah, at least Brendan Fraser was in there.
Captain Marvel, or not Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel. That was okay. I think that was them, but that was also a TV show.
Okay, yeah.
So there's, like, a different expectation there.
Of course.
For me.
Yeah.
And it's free on Disney+. Plus. I mean, you gotta pay for the subscription, but it's not like a film I had to see in theaters.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
I'm gonna just point out 2 more things real quick.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
There's a line that I thought was particularly bad, where Will Smith is talking to the young, annoying ensemble, and he says, "Raids are supposed to be fun. They're like field trips with guns." That was really bad and cringe. Like, okay. And then one other thing I'd like to point out is the music in this. Probably the worst of the 3 somehow.
Lorne Balfe.
Not just in terms of composition, but in how it was used. There was like a fight scene where the time signature was like 3-4 times, like a waltz, basically. And I was like, what the? It doesn't... it didn't have energy to it. It was like clashing with the tone of the scene. And then at the end of the movie, the standard way, like characters on the ground, it's in the rain, he's got a bullet wound sort of thing, his son or whatever, like very cliche. Mm-hmm. And in any other movie, they would do it where it's like, okay, you have some sad string music or maybe some piano come in. You want to settle down at the end of the movie, at least, if you're going to go with the formulated route. But this movie, there's still kind of like an action rhythm happening, and then the scene just ends, and there was no slowdown to the music. It was so weird. It was like some of the most bizarre choices for like tone in the film. It's like they had it scored for another scene and then just put it in that scene anyway. We were like, we'll just take it from this scene. Like they forgot to pay for an extra track or something, and they just used another one. Like I don't know what was going on, but that was particularly weird.
Yeah, it felt very like temp music-y.
Yeah, like
to me, because Lorne Balfe, he's like one of Hans Zimmer's like underlings, right? I swear I kept hearing like kind of the kind of Zimmer kind of compositions, like, but just a little bit changed here and there, but. Yeah, super generic stuff.
Yeah, he's a Zergling.
Zergling.
Zimmergling.
Yeah.
Zimmerling, yeah.
The buddy cop, like, formula, it's, like, been so done. It's been done better. Yeah. Like, especially with other movies since Bad Boys 2. Like, I think of The Nice Guys, or there's probably other examples. It's just like there's better movies that you could watch that are buddy cop films that are funnier, that have better action.
Yeah, Hot Fuzz.
They're just like trying to do what this movie does. Yeah, Hot Fuzz, exactly. Yeah. Just like trying to do what this film does, really poorly. And that's a shame because to me, Bad Boys 1 and 2 were like the buddy cop movies of their time.
They were.
And it's just kind of done. Like it's just, we're past that now. It's time to move on.
Yeah, it's finished. Just let it die.
Let it die. I would give this, if we're going to get into ratings, do you want to go first?
Me?
Yeah, one of you.
2 out of 10. It was fucking horrendous. Wow. It was just genuinely awful. It was funny.
Yeah.
It was very funny, but wow. you didn't think I'd be missing Michael Bay, but here we are.
Wow.
I miss Michael Bay. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm agreeing with that sentence, but I do agree. I do miss Michael Bay for this, at least for this franchise, It does like gel well with him and his identity at the very least, and not having him is like sad. But it was like weirdly the funniest one to me, all for like the completely wrong reasons. So I'd give it like 1.5 stars. It's not good.
I'm the same as Alex. I'd give it 3 out of 10, 1.5 stars. Yeah, huge drop off. It's not as bad as like Blade Trinity. Yes, the third movie problem in a trilogy. It's just like it's so terrible. And yeah, the Legacy sequel, Top Gun Maverick is a better Legacy sequel than this.
Of course.
It's like everything this movie's trying to capture. Yeah, just this movie's terrible. It's fucking terrible dialogue and action. Just awful. And awful acting.
Top Gun Maverick had action scenes where action was happening in the scene.
Awesome action.
It was awesome.
It was practical.
Yeah.
It was practical. He gave a shit about what was happening.
Yeah, someone made it because they wanted to.
Yeah, right. It's like real passion was there, right?
Yeah, crazy.
All right. It's the Bad Boys trilogy. The boys.
Awesome. Thanks for recommending.
Sure. To talk about Michael Bay.
All right, it's time for questions. Alex, I actually have some questions for you real quick before we start with the
for me
one. Yeah.
Okay, go for it.
When you to eat something, what is the past tense of that?
I ate.
Okay, because I heard that some British people say et, but they're like more like, like upper class kind of.
I ate this morning.
Yeah.
I ate this morning.
Et.
Yeah.
Someone was talking to me about that.
That's the thing though. I've got like a weird, like Americanized kind of like half Kiwi, half UK thing going on. So loads of English people get mad at me because of like
that's funny
for like the weird combo thing I have going on. But I guess to be honest, I'd say both, depending on just how I'm feeling in the moment. Yeah.
That's awesome. Change it up.
But that's not like the weirdest one though. There's definitely like weirder stuff we got going on here.
Oh, I'm sure.
Aluminium.
Yeah.
What is that?
Aluminum.
Oh my god. I'm still put off by biscuits. The biscuit aisle. I still can't wrap my head around that.
No, every time I go through the biscuit aisle, I think of you guys. Yeah.
One more question, Alex. Do you do fireworks on Halloween?
Yes. I feel like there's like any excuse to like set explosives off or something.
Because I thought that was only like a BC thing. Because when I moved, nowhere else in Canada does it, but I moved to Vancouver and people just like, fireworks stores will open around Halloween, and then every Halloween just like random fireworks will go off. It's like not a part of a festival, just people will just set off fireworks because they want to do fireworks.
Yeah, I guess it's because it's so close to 5th of November, so fireworks will be for sale, so people just, any chance to set them off, they'll be doing it.
That's funny. Yeah, so I thought that Vancouver was like one of the only places, and then someone on Reddit was like, oh, they also do it in England and
England,
yeah, a couple other places. So I learned something new. Thank you.
All right.
You're welcome.
Alex, you got questions?
Time for some questions. Okay, let's do some questions from the Sardonicast community then. Head over to the suggestion thread on the subreddit if you want to ask questions for future episodes, just like Bonky Schlong Junho did. A couple episodes ago, Adam said Going Overboard should be categorized under the genre torture. What is your favorite and least favorite film in this genre?
Favorite and least favorite. It's like a weird...
I don't know how you can have a favorite torture. Maybe just least favorite.
Yeah, it's not torture if it's your favorite. You know?
I don't think we really need a favorite. I think least favorite is probably enough, to be honest.
I feel like I want to recommend some of these at some point, so I don't want to ruin it. Yeah,
I gave that title to Going Overboard for a reason. like that would be the one that comes to mind. It's not really a movie. It's not a comedy. You know, it's legitimately you could use it as torture. So I would have to say that you've answered your own question.
Mm-hmm. I would say that Howard the Duck movie.
Oh yeah,
that's like torture for me. Yeah, that's torture. That's one of the worst I've ever seen, easily. That's just one example.
For me, it's like I've just got this thing about these middling Ryan Reynolds movies, like the Hitman's Bodyguard, like shit like that, where it's just like,
oh yeah,
what are you doing? Like, why?
Yeah, that seems like torture.
No, it is like they are torture. The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard or whatever the fuck. It's just, you know, that these kinds.
It's such a bad title.
Oh, is that a sequel?
Yeah, that was the sequel.
No.
Yeah, that's the sequel. The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard? That's it? Holy shit. Who came up with that?
The Hitman's Wife's Boyfriend's Bodyguard.
Yeah, that'll be the third one.
You got to imagine Ryan Reynolds like saying the title, and I guess that's supposed to be the joke.
Yeah, it'll be the Hitman's cousin's uncle's wife's boyfriend's bodyguard. Yeah, like every movie will just get like more and more stupid. The title. Yeah,
like shit like Free Guy. I guess just Ryan Reynolds. I just really have something against that guy and his movies.
I feel ya.
Yeah.
They really upset me.
He does the same shtick every time, so...
He's a name actor because of his abs, you know? When we were watching like Blade Trinity, I'm like, oh, that's why Ryan Reynolds is a name actor. It's because of his abs.
He's a name actor because of Deadpool. Because Deadpool was such a hit, and then after that...
He was a name actor before Deadpool.
Well, yeah, he wasn't really a lead. Oh, no, he was a lead. He was in, like, Green Lantern, but even those movies were, like, crap.
He was in, like, all those romantic comedies and stuff. Yeah, I don't know.
He was in different genres.
He was, like, a child actor or something.
Sure. That's how he sold himself for a while, but then eventually he, like, became this, like, Deadpool guy, right? Where, like,
now everyone likes him, that's the thing.
He was a real Matthew McConaughey type.
Yeah, I feel like he's much more in like, the leading role now than he was.
Mm-hmm.
Like at the time, like a few years ago, even before Deadpool. Yeah, he was in like romantic comedies, right? It was like the Matthew McConaughey, exactly. But like Matthew McConaughey is like proven to be like a good actor, like dramatically outside of like doing the same, like all right. Like he's not just that. He's like in True Detective, and he's in Dallas Buyers Club, and he's in like good roles. Ryan Reynolds has yet to have that kind of part. I like him in Buried. Buried was okay. It's not as good as like True Detective, but it was a decent like. He should do something like that. I've always like felt that like Ryan Reynolds should go back to doing like kind of indie movies like every once in a while. Like he should do like a lot of actors do. He should take on like a smaller part and like
good time.
Something like that. Even like show you have range.
Yeah,
right.
be in weird stuff.
I don't think he does have range though. I think he should stay in his lane.
Maybe not. maybe he's tried doing that and they're like, nah, dude, just stick to Free Guy and fucking whatever. Stick to that. Red Notice.
Yeah. Speaking of like range or lack thereof, like another good like sect of torture movies are like just movies with The Rock or Kevin Hart in, like Central Intelligence. Those kind of comedies, where they're just so down the middle. They're so like for the broadest audience possible. So like they can never be too risque. They're like just really like comatose comedies. And, like, that kind of stuff like is the most torturous for me.
Red Notice.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good example, yeah. Let's do this one from Box Tacito. Sorry if I butchered your name. What is your opinion on the films by stop motion animation studio Leica, and how would you rate/rank their films? The films Coraline, Paranorman, Box Trolls, Kubo and the Two Strings, and Missing Link. Love the show, guys. Been listening since day one. Love from the Netherlands.
Oh, cute.
Coraline's their best movie.
I agree.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
That's Henry Selick.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing a stop motion with Jordan Peele, actually. It's coming out this year.
That's
really?
sick. Cool.
Yeah.
That sounds cool.
I might be seeing it at TIFF.
I think with Coraline anyway, that was like the only one of their films I'd seen in theaters. Like I don't think I was a kid. I think I was like a teenager, tween, like around that time. So I did have like the real experience of like it was made for me. It's made for like my audience, right? And I really loved that movie. It was like beyond the animation being really great, it's like fucking scary. It's like really creepy. Like the shit with the button eyes and like the whole like nightmare aspect of it. Like she goes in this world that's like she can't get out of, and she's trapped by this fucking freaky woman like with button eyes. I'm like, holy shit, this is like,
it's got the story backbone.
Yeah,
it's an awesome story,
and it has like the funny parts, like the part where the guy's like the acrobat or whatever. It's like some kind of circus or something. Like it genuinely made me laugh. It made me scared. I'm like, this is like such a fucking roller coaster of like emotion. I thought that was absolutely fantastic. That movie, Coraline. I love that movie. I think it's great.
Yeah. Henry Selick's better at creating a story. That's because I love the animation in Kubo.
Yeah, the whole production design is amazing.
The animation's like incredible. I love stop motion. I love how smooth it is and intricate and just like, mwah. But then the story's, like if you don't have a great story, then I'm not going to watch it a second time.
Yeah, Kubo's okay. Yeah, I don't hate that movie. I do think like you can make the excuse of like it's kind of like a fable, so it's like kind of trying to be like cliche, I guess, or like the mythical aspects of it. Like it's very like conventional, I feel. But like Paranorman, I really couldn't get into that much, especially like the end of that movie with like the reveal that like the character's gay. And like how that doesn't really like factor into the story at all. It's just kind of like thrown.
I'm never gonna watch it.
It doesn't even matter. It's
10 years old.
It's like fucking 10 years old. Yeah, and also it doesn't matter. It's just like thrown in. It's almost like a punchline. Honestly, it's like so whatever. I don't hate that movie either.
I'd completely forgotten about that.
Yeah.
It's just it is a forgettable movie.
I tried watching the first 10 minutes and I was like, this is not for me. I wasn't into it. People tried to get me to watch it.
Yeah, I really wasn't a big fan of that.
Like, I love their animation, but like...
Again, great animation. Yeah.
It's just,
the animation's great. No doubt. Like, all of their movies.
Kind of annoying that it's not in service of something, like, great, is what's sad
all of their
about
movies look great. Yeah. And there's a point where like the animation got so good to where it's like indistinguishable from CG animation to where like it kind of loses its charm. Like I really like Fantastic Mr. Fox because it feels like stop motion, and you see like
the imperfections left.
The hair, like you can see the hair on like the characters, like kind of you can tell like fingers have been like moving the characters in between shots. Like that's fun.
True.
And like like Kubo, Paranorman, it's so smooth. It looks like CG. It looks like 3D animation.
Well, that's what that sold me on Kubo and the Two Strings before I saw it. Was they were almost selling it, like using it as advertisement, like the time lapses of the animators behind the scenes with these huge like models that was like the size of them, and that was like really alluring to me. But they've had a continuous problem with like kind of interesting stories / characters. I need at least one of these things.
Yeah.
And the only one I haven't seen is Box Trolls, but the last one I saw was Missing Link from 2019, and again it was just so forgettable. Like just an abominable snowman type thing.
I'm looking at their box office. It seems like they're just getting less and less return with every single film. Fucking Missing Link had a $100 million budget, and it got back $26.6 million pre-pandemic. Wow. It was released April 2019.
That was
$100 million?
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
And they got back 26 million. That's ugh.
Yeah.
Kubo didn't even seem successful. They only got 77.5 million box office.
Yeah, barely a profit.
I don't know why they moved away from the like Coraline approach of like having that backbone of like a really good novel or something, so you don't have to worry about the story as much.
It is weird,
you know, like adapt something tested as opposed to like.
Isn't Fantastic Mr. Fox a book too?
Yeah,
I think so.
Roald Dahl.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, sure. I would much prefer them sacrifice the animation to like tell a better story. Like, I think you could do both, certainly, but I prefer a better story than like this like focus on making the animation so perfect. Because like Aardman's made 3D animated movies. Like those are great. I really like Arthur Christmas. Like I don't care if it's stop motion or not. It's just like tell a good story. Like have some like good design. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing or if they have anything planned coming up. But.
Was there a Corpse Bride? I haven't seen. I'd like to see it. Isn't that? I think that's their first.
No, that's not.
It's not them.
I don't think.
No, that wasn't them.
That was just Tim Burton. But I don't know who produced the production company.
Yeah, maybe. I was looking at a list on Letterboxd. It might be just wrong.
Yeah, I was looking at Wiki.
It says Corpse Bride is contract work for Warner Brothers. So maybe they worked like under Warner Brothers to make it. But yeah, it's not technically a...
So animation took place at 3 Mills Studios in London for Corpse Bride.
All right, whatever. I haven't seen it anyway. I'd like to.
It's fine.
Yeah, Coraline, I love that movie. That's fucking great. That's one of the best kids animated movies ever, easily for me. Love that movie.
I love Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, it's like up there for me with like it's almost as good as that. Not quite, but yeah, it's like really good. I really recommend Coraline, especially to kids. It fucking freaked them out. Like it give them nightmares.
Yeah, that's what you should be using stop motion for. You're scared the kids with it, you know?
It's really creepy.
I'm hoping this Guillermo del Toro Pinocchio movie's got some creepy. That's what, like a stop motion Netflix project or something. I think that's coming out this year.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Pinocchio, a True Story. That's what it's called, right? No, that's that's the Russian one. That's the really bad one.
It's onslaught of Pinocchio movies that are all coming out for some reason.
Father, when can I leave to be on my own? I've got the whole world to see.
Is that from the bad one?
Yeah.
There's so many bad like Pinocchio movies. It's hard to
watch the Matteo Garrone one, the 2019 or whatever, 2018, 2019.
Oh, is it good?
It's pretty good. Yeah, I like it.
All right.
Yeah. He's talented. He's a good director.
Okay.
Yeah, the new one looks great though. The Guillermo one. I'm looking forward to that.
The Disney one.
Yeah, the Disney Plus one is like whoa.
I watched that trailer today. What a crazy looking movie. Zemeckis delivering the craziness yet again.
Yeah,
Zemeckis.
Somehow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this Matteo Garrone one.
Yeah.
All right, I'll check that out.
Oh, it's great.
I've seen a lot of Pinocchio movies.
Yeah.
The best one's still the original one, the 2D from 1940.
Probably.
It's nice. It would be nice to have like another one that's as good as that. Yeah, Jordan Peterson's favorite, right?
Disney ain't going to deliver it.
Yeah, probably not.
Okay, let's do this one from Submissive Gay Alien. How do you feel about the movies of Kevin Smith? I'm especially interested in hearing Ralph's take, as Smith seems to have had a major impact on small-budget independent film with Clerks.
Yeah, well, you guys can say something too. I know the guy is asking me. What do you think of Kevin Smith? What do you think of his films? Have you seen like the ones he's like really known for?
I've seen Clerks.
Clerks.
I haven't seen Mallrats.
Clerks is good. Clerks is a good movie.
Yeah.
That's like to me what an indie film like should be.
It's a funny script.
Small scale. It's funny.
And then everything else he's made, I'm not like a fan of, honestly.
Yeah, well, I really feel like he works well in that low budget.
Especially recently.
I hate Tusk, yeah, but like, Clerks, it's like a good story.
Yeah, I've only seen some of the recent stuff.
Clerks was like relevant at the time too because it was like making references to like other movies. Like they reference Star Wars, they reference like these movies that, obviously audiences have seen. They're like treating audiences with like film knowledge, which I think is like really cool. Like they have like some like acknowledgement of that, and like the references.
When it was before like everything was doing that too. Like it was more ahead of its time,
and it was very relatable. Like how we're talking about how Bad Boys, like they're like in a swimming pool. Like it's completely unrelatable to like most people because most people don't like have a swimming pool in their backyard or whatever.
Yeah.
Like the Clerks characters, like they're working very low wage jobs. They fucking hate people. Like people are annoying, and they like talk to their friends and like hang out and like do like shit. Like it's like more. It's so much more down to earth, so much more like relatable, and like even if you aren't that kind of person, it's like fun to watch that and experience it. Like, oh yeah, this is like this other side of like what films can explore. That's like really fun, and those movies are very funny, and like the way they use references, it's not just like reference humor. It's like it's like relatable. It's funny, and it's great. Like it's really great stuff. And the Clerks have like sequels that are really well received too, and like the Jay and Silent Bob knockoff.
Part of the reason it was so successful is because it was also like pretty like mature and like raunchy, and the jokes that they were telling weren't found in your average like big blockbuster comedy sort of thing. Like my girlfriend sucked 37 dicks, and then there's like the whole like having sex with a corpse, and like stuff like that. It helped it stand out from the crowd in that sense, and people were willing to watch like black and white for the same, black and white for necessity because of the cameras costing less at the time.
Exactly. Color film costs much more money, so they shot it black and white. And then people like, that doesn't, it's not like a pretentious choice. It's like because it's budgetary like limitations they had. They'd rather spend that on other things. Yeah. Like the actors.
Everyone's first movie in the 90s, fucking Christopher Nolan's The Following. Darren Aronofsky's Pi, black and white, just out of logistical reasons.
Exactly.
Budgetary.
I even like his higher budget stuff, like Chasing Amy. Like that's a decent movie. I haven't logged it. I'm gonna have to watch that again.
That's one I haven't seen. I know it's a big title.
Yeah, I saw it when I was younger. I really liked that one.
I saw Dogma a long time ago.
I'm not a fan of Dogma. Everybody loves it. I don't gel well with the humor in it. I think it's fine.
I haven't seen that. I don't think people talk about that one as much, which, it's kind of weird. On Letterboxd, it's ranked like higher.
I think Dogma feels kind of like a Fifth Element thing to me, where it's like, I'm not really the target audience for that. And there's like a huge fan base behind it sort of thing of, very passionate and vocal people of like, oh yeah, this is the best movie ever. But I just like, I'm not into the humor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's very hit or miss. He has some duds. I heard Yoga Hosers is. Oh yeah, Yoga Hosers is terrible. I've not heard of
awful.
it. I haven't seen the whole thing. I just watched like some of it.
Yeah, like Red State and Cop Out. They're pretty bad.
Yeah, Tusk was just unbearable. I hated Tusk.
Tusk is terrible.
Tusk is unbearable.
I can't believe that was a successful film. Like people watched it. Like that just caught me so off guard.
That's one of those torture. That's one of those torture movies.
Basically, yeah.
Like we were talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, true, actually.
And Justin Long.
Yeah, really.
It was like an in-joke made into a movie, yeah.
Yeah.
Like not even fans of horror like that movie.
A bunch of people liked it. There was this weird time where like he was doing that, and then he had one other called like Red State or something, and people were like, "Yeah, he's doing like horror movies, and
State,
they're like actually
shit.
good."
Red
I'm
State
like,
and Cop Out,
I watched them, and they were not great.
Red State is like the most. Right, that's the one, like, people like that movie for some reason.
Yeah.
I guess because, like, the political commentary. But like, aside from that, it's so fucking bad. Like, I haven't even seen the whole thing.
It's really not special.
I don't have it logged because I forgot I've even seen parts of it. It's just fucking atrocious. Like, all right, I get the fucking message. It's like, it's so bad, though. Yeah, Cop Out, also. That was really bad. Talking like cop... like buddy cop movies. That's like one of the worst ones I've ever seen. It's just like fucking atrocious. Bruce Willis is like sleepwalking through it. I heard about like all the production troubles with it. Like Bruce Willis didn't give a fuck. Like kept arguing with Kevin Smith. Like he didn't take his directions. That like really soured Kevin Smith from like working in Hollywood in the studio system, which I think is really sad. But yeah, like Bruce Willis, like he just didn't have any respect for him because I guess he thought he was like this low budget, guy.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't take him seriously. Yeah, it's like...
That's funny.
Yeah, it's just sad. Like, even if he hasn't made, like, great movies, like, at least show some fucking respect for the director. Like, Kevin Smith's probably a nice guy. Like,
Bruce Willis
sure. Is like, yeah, fuck you. Like, Bruce Willis is like, doesn't take him seriously because he's not, like, fucking Terry Gilliam or whatever. Yeah. It's like, you agreed to be in the movie. Like, why not just fucking try? Yeah, he was, like, sleepwalking through that movie. Awful.
Mm-hmm.
At least Tracy Morgan was trying in that fucking movie. He was bad too, but like at least he was trying.
Yeah, I haven't even seen it. I don't know. The poster looks so bad.
Terrible. Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, the poster. Yeah, it's terrible.
You know exactly what you're getting with this one.
Yeah. Awful.
Yeah. So yeah, in my perspective, Kevin Smith has one good movie. I haven't seen all of his movies. Maybe I could change my mind with that, but. Yeah, I'll see Chasing Amy someday, but yeah, Clerks is like the only one that I have any positive memories of. The rest are either misses or just actively painful.
I hear Mallrats is good. I hear Dogma's good. I haven't seen Dogma. I like Chasing Amy. I need to see it again.
I could watch Mallrats.
Like the Clerks sequels are well received. Yeah, I don't like Red State. I don't like Cop Out. I don't like Tusk. Those are like
Tusk is the level of bad that it makes me never want. Like I'm never gonna watch Yoga Hosers because of it. Like Tusk is so bad that I can't possibly watch Yoga Hosers.
Yeah, that's not a good one. Yoga Hosers,
pretty much fair.
Alex, you've seen Zach and Miri make a porno? That was him.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Oh, I forgot.
It's pretty forgettable. It's just kind of like a simple like romantic comedy.
Wow.
Some Star Wars references in it. Yeah. Nothing too crazy.
I remember when that came out.
That was relatively successful, too.
Mm-hmm. I like Seth Rogen in it. Elizabeth Banks.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah. I forgot about that movie. I forgot that was Kevin Smith. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's cool. Chasing Amy was like a mainstream hit. It's like one of those...
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like a modest budget, like, but, has big actors in it, and like people really liked it. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Good for him. But like, yeah, I don't... I prefer Clerks. To me, Clerks is like his best.
Yeah, now he's just making a bunch of bullshit. Like, he doesn't even go shit. I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
There's a Clerks 3 coming out.
I like his personality, but
I think he likes doing Comic-Con. I think he likes doing other stuff like Comic-Con. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like a big dork. Like he loves podcasting and talking about like comic book movies.
Yeah, he does like TV shows where he talks about like Superman, right?
That's
like
funny.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could make another good movie one day. It's just like, yeah.
I don't think so.
Tusk is like that's him trying to make like a horror movie. It's like awful.
Well, apparently that was like a joke movie at the same time. Like it was like
it's supposed to be comedy horror.
Somebody gave him the idea on his podcast or something. Like it was something he just made up on the spot. It was like, I'll actually make a movie about it. Like that's what I heard.
Wait, really? Someone gave him the idea on his podcast.
Yeah.
Holy
Maybe
shit.
he said it on his podcast. I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure it was like just them like ad-libbing. Yeah, that's right? Like they were just bullshitting on a podcast and were like, oh, that'd be funny. Let's actually like make that idea into a full feature. And it's just like fucking unbearable.
Yeah, that wasn't a good idea.
So bad.
Yeah, it's like his second highest listed on like Letterboxd when you look him up as a director.
Wow.
Tusk. Yeah, the second most popular.
Kind of like Creep. Yeah, everyone just loves Creep for some reason.
Oh, did he make Creep?
No. Just like one of those, one of those weird like horror movies that I just don't get why people like it the way they do.
Yeah. I haven't seen that. I hear it's like... I hear mixed things. My brother didn't like it. I trust him. And you didn't like it either. I trust those opinions more than anyone else.
So apparently Cop Out is his most successful film.
Really?
Yeah, well, Bruce Willis, yeah.
Mr. Morgan.
Probably had the most, like, marketing behind it. Mm-hmm. 2 actors, and yeah.
Zack and Miri didn't make as much as I thought it did. It was only like 30 million.
They didn't even sell Cop Out as, like, a Kevin Smith movie. They just sold that as, like, a, generic buddy cop movie with Bruce Willis and Tracy Morgan, yeah.
All right, I think that does it for questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Cool. Thank you so much. That was awesome. And I believe it is Alex's turn to recommend something.
It is back to me. And I've got an interesting one that I've had on the list for a while. I want to go back to Nosferatu.
Shit. Which one?
The vampire movie. I'm trying to find the year.
There's like more than one.
The original, the OG.
1922?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do know that there's like, I think there's different versions. There's like different soundtracks. So I guess we'll discuss, I guess there's probably like a definitive original kind of one, but
yeah, like on the UK, you have to watch it on like one of the Prime Video subscriptions called Filmbox or something. It's like one of those like weird situations, but
awesome.
Yeah, that's the 1922 F.W. Murnau Nosferatu.
Is this the oldest recommendation?
Probably.
Yeah. It might be.
It's older than fucking Wizard of Oz, right? When was that?
Oh, yeah. By a lot, yeah. For sure.
Yeah. That was like the 39? Okay, yeah. That's a good 15, 17 years difference.
Yeah.
So hopefully it'll be a good discussion.
I think it's the oldest movie I've seen. Might be.
All right. If you don't want to be spoiled for 1922 Nosferatu, watch it before the next episode's out. These episodes come out publicly every 2 weeks. You can listen to them early by going to sardonicast.com. Sign up for premium. It's only $2 a month. What are you going to spend $2 a month on? It's like less than coffee. It's like less than one coffee. Give us your money. Also, patreon.com/sardonicast. You can listen to these early and support the show and feel good about it. We also got merch. Link in the description. We also have a Sardonicast highlights channel. You can check that out. And send us your fan art. We'll include them at the beginning of the YouTube uploads. Send them on the subreddit, Sardonicast subreddit. Also, Twitter hashtag Sardonicast Sardonicast fan art. Thank you, and Woosa, Happy Shrek.
Woosa. Bad boys. What you gonna do?
Shit just got real.
Shit got real, and we're riding. We podcast together, we die together.
What you gonna do when you come for you? All right,
bye.
Shrek.
Bye.